Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Do you like Kojima or no? Is that why the reaction is like that?
Yeah. I like Kojima. I like it. I like Kojima. But I don't like Kojima in recent years. So here's the thing about Kojima, right? He's a very creative person, right? He definitely like always been, working outside the box. Solid Snake, for instance, hiding in a cardboard box, like stupid stuff like that. If you ever played Metal Gear Rising, the game's like ridiculous and like super. Actually, that's my favorite Metal Gear game. But it's just like ridiculous and over the top. Like the characters do really dumb things and say stupid stuff, but it's like the charm of it. But for me, Death Stranding did not have any charm to it. So,
you don't like the walking simulator?
I can't wait to start playing it though. I know it's probably boring to a lot of people, but I still didn't play it. But I've been meaning to for a while now.
Well, I'll tell you this. I streamed it, and it did very well in the beginning because I streamed it when it first came out. And I noticed a drop-off from it specifically, and people were giving feedback like, this is super boring to watch. Like, there's nothing happening. Like, nothing going on.
I feel like it's not... I don't think... It can be a good streaming game if you have activities.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're just doing shit like streaming regularly, I don't think it's gonna work too well. But
yeah, I'm still gonna try Death Stranding 2, but my thing with Death Stranding was the way that it was branded before it released. Do you guys remember the weird trailer with the baby?
The baby's in the new trailer.
Yeah. So
it looks fucking fun though.
The baby's back.
Yep.
The baby's back. So like I don't know, man. I don't know. It's wild stuff. So I mean, obviously the state of play was a big deal. What I was kind of shocked about was that they announced one for the next month for February.
Yeah,
so
part 2.
Yeah, which is not like that's not a thing they do like the next month, which that's kind of unheard of.
It's a big year. Yeah, it's a big year for games. So I'm sure they got like B tier or maybe indie stuff scheduled for that. Maybe, maybe more.
Maybe, but they have their indie showcase, so like they have a thing already. I mean, Nintendo does too, and Nintendo does direct minis, and they do indie directs. So like, I don't know, maybe it could be a thing like that where PlayStation, they didn't want to fill. I don't know. Here's my problem: is that like they spent so much time on Death Stranding 2, and then Kojima like having like a monologue after. I'm like, what is going on here? Did everybody watched it, right?
I saw just the highlights.
Yeah, I didn't watch the whole thing, but yeah, I saw all the trailers.
Good job, guys. Good job. You missed a lot, I'm telling you.
He's proud of us.
It goes live when I'm at work. What do you mean to do?
Watch it after. I'm just kidding. I mean, you. Other than the highlights, like you didn't miss much. It was a lot of like the extra stuff with Kojima talking right after the long trailer that they gave Death Stranding 2. It's weird to me that like he gets so much highlight in the industry with people like Jeff Keighley. That's like his best friend, his BFF, and he always gets sort of the highlight of the Game Awards every year. And
yeah, because he's doing things outside the box, and then that's actually going to generate clicks, that's going to generate views, that's going to generate comments, because in a sense he's also very controversial for the gaming space because he just does things differently, right? And that's they always say, especially in media, like no coverage or no attention is bad attention, right? Or no nothing, even if it's negative, is bad for you in a long run, right? Because you're still getting exposed to all these new audiences and people, and to them, numbers are everything, right? They don't care if it's negative or positive. So I'm sure that there's, it's all calculated why he's so involved in events.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about all that. Like he's not. he's not like one of the top guys in the industry or anything. But yeah, he does work outside of the box. He is he's like a strange guy, which is cool and interesting to people. Like he posts really, really weird things on Twitter, and I sometimes look forward to seeing what he tweets out. I mean, I love or hate the guy. I don't dislike him by any means. I like that he tries to go in a creative direction, but it just.
But also, he's doing something that not a lot of like studios are doing now, which is, and you see it when he tweets and when he talks about, like, especially he's working on a new like action espionage game, right? Which everybody's hyped about because it could be like the new Metal Gear Solid franchise, right? But he even says it in that video. He goes like, I want to create a new like intersection between video games and movies. And actually, those are my favorite types of video games, which allow me to play a character but feel like I'm the main character in a movie, which I don't know. A lot of people don't care for it too much because there's not a lot of customization, right? You have is it Norman Reedus?
Yep.
But I'm really just so everybody knows, I'm terrible with names.
Me too.
Especially celebrities. So but that's what he's doing. He's creating this new direction for video games. I think that's really cool, personally.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still interested to check out Death Stranding 2, but they did show more of the walking part, so I'm not convinced that that's not a major part of the game again.
There's a lot of vehicles, though. There's a lot of vehicles and shit too.
They did add vehicles, yeah. So I mean, like I said, I'm gonna check it out regardless. I want to give it a go and at least give it a chance. I mean, Kojima's done a lot of other things that I like too, not just the Metal Gear series. So, I don't know. Have you guys played that last Metal Gear game that came out? It was Metal Gear, the really bad one that was like zombies and what was that called?
I didn't play his last mainline games.
So. It wasn't even his. It was when he left. It was when he left. They did another Metal Gear.
I remember hearing it was terrible. Everybody hated it, but
yeah. So
I played it.
I'm curious, Lay, since you do a lot of movies and TV shows reviews and things of that nature. What do you think? Do you like Kojima? Like, regardless if you play the games or not, like, do you like seeing his work?
I do, because like. As you guys just said, he always does something different. He always has a question mark on what he releases. And yes, Death Stranding is weird and there is a lot of walking, but it's, there's nothing else to compare it really to. It's just, it's still you're watching in awe. And he's always, 9 times. When I do see his name on something, I always click on it. Now they're like, oh, I don't want to know. I want to know.
Yeah. Yep, I don't know. He's an interesting character for sure. So I'll be interested to see what happens with that game. But I mean, other than that, like, what's your guys' take on the sort of event as a whole? I mean, we'll dive into some of the other subjects, but what do you think presentation wise? What was presented and what you guys did see of the event?
What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, Mark.
There was one game that I remember hearing, and I just couldn't remember what it's got to pull it back up. Because there was one game that I saw that I really liked.
It was Judas for me. Judas was the one I was like, take my money. Yep.
Yeah, we got to talk about that one.
It was Stella Blade was the game that I saw.
Yeah, I was going to say it's the waifu game. I knew it.
I mean, how many games do we get? I like playing a game with nice, beautiful women. I don't get that a whole lot of modern gaming anymore. that anime-esque style.
Yeah, I mean, it looks cool though. It does look neat. I think I'll check it out. I mean, why not?
It's the only one that really stood out to me. Everything else seemed kind of bland for the most part, or games that I already knew about, or it's Sonic, which I just don't care about. If you want.
Let's go ahead and dive into that for a minute then, because I definitely wanted to talk about that on my end. I think it's cool that we're getting Sonic Generations again, and that they're bringing in Shadow, which is probably my my favorite character in the series. It's interesting that that they chose Generations, but it semi makes sense, and it'll be cool because a lot of people want Sonic Adventure 3, right? Like that was the hate afterwards. I don't know if you guys saw the trailer, but the comments are like Sonic fans are rabid, right? I am not. I don't put myself in the Sonic community because it's disturbing and absurd at times. But I love the games. I'll stop there. I love the game. So I'm interested to see what comes of this. And what's crazy is that like a lot of the leaks here recently was stuff. This came from, I can't remember the leaker, but he has leaked out a lot of stuff that's been pretty accurate. But it leaked out 2 days before that we were getting something with Sonic, and they were just saying Sonic Generations, and people thought it was going to be like a remake or whatever. So I think it's cool. I'm all for more Sonic. I just hope that they do it right and they give it some justice, because obviously we all know like the Sonic outputtings are hit or miss. The last one was pretty good, Superstars. It came out last year. It was a 2D, like 2.5D game. It was decent. Nothing crazy.
Wait,
nothing.
Did the RPG come out 2 years ago already, or 3 years ago?
RPG. Are you talking about the open world game?
Yeah.
That came out, 2 or 3 years ago at this point.
Jesus Christ! I feel like that came out like a couple months ago.
Yeah, I think it's been 2 years. It definitely hasn't been 3 years.
That's wild.
Yeah, I've actually, it's funny about that. GameStop gave me, they had a bunch left. They were pre-order bonuses, a big old box of steelbooks from the game. So I'm going to do some giveaways. I've got literally I've got two boxes full of giveaway stuff. It's just fine. Yeah, I've been collecting it for a while. I think since probably like August of last year, I've specifically been collecting giveaway stuff. So I'm deciding on if I want to do like in bunches, like give away like
if
6
you
items.
Give it all to us, or
I mean, probably
giving out free stuff.
Probably nothing that you guys
Australia
would.
is only $20.
Yeah. Well, I have had cheap shipping to Australia. I ship all over.
No.
Well, don't
For
okay.
me at least. I got too much shit.
Yeah, no.
I
I
don't
don't
think about sending stuff.
No, I was gonna say you wouldn't want it anyway. I got some. I got like probably 7 or 8 of the Super Mario RPG pin sets that were pre-order bonuses, and
that's pretty cool.
Super Mario Brothers Wonder, the snowmen. I don't know if you guys saw those, but they're like snowmen pin sets. I essentially go there and I ask, hey, what do you have left over from pre-orders that people either you had excess or whatever? They throw them in the dumpster. So I mean, at this point, like I just get what I can that makes sense. I'll tell you what. Let me tell you a funny story. It's totally off topic, but that's okay. When I used to work at GNC, and it was next to our GameStop, and we shared the same dumpster. One time, I saw them throw the Vita was setting right on top. There's a Vita on top. I'm like, what? So I grab it and I take it home. I get a charger for it, and it works perfectly fine. And it's the Vita I have today. Yeah, nothing wrong with it. And then I found a DS Lite too. Again, nothing wrong with it. They just tossed it. At that point in time, they weren't selling anything older in the Vita. They were getting everything out of the store, and they just threw it away. I'm like, what the heck?
My god, we should do a series, dumpster diving behind video game stores.
That is
go around the country and just collect shit.
That is a big thing on YouTube.
We go try and find random shit.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just amazing how much stuff they throw out. But we're getting off topic. I did want to mention, did you guys see that all the cast that's coming back to, now that we're talking about Sonic, the cast that's coming back to Sonic 3, the movie?
Yeah, Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
And he said he was done.
Nah, he wants to make the kids happy.
Lied.
I gotta cover. Yeah, I want to do some movie coverage and follow that, because that one's going to introduce Shadow. I'm pretty pretty pumped for that one.
Yeah.
Are you guys are Sonic fans at all? Like in any regard?
I always
really.
liked Sonic, and I played it as a kid, but I never really stick with it because I only played it really with, back in the day, like all the consoles were super expensive. We didn't really have anything. So around early 2000s, I would have an emulator on my mom's work laptop, and I would play like Sega and other arcade games. So I played them and I liked them, but I was never able to like keep up with all the entries and stuff.
I gotcha. Yeah, I mean that nothing wrong with that. Frontiers was a pretty cool game. I think it was it's actually, it's not a bad game. It's like a 7 out of 10. As far as like, an open world Sonic, the attempt at it, the first attempt at like a game like that, it's pretty neat, man. It's worth going back to and checking out. And like you can grab it for like $15 now. Like if you want to get it physically and it's actually on the disc, that's a rarity these days. Yeah, even Sonic Superstars is already priced down to $20. I keep seeing tweets about it. Amazon $20, Best Buy $20.
Bargain.
Yeah, so
I hear that the best Sonic game is Sonic 06.
all right, we're going to move on from that topic. Yeah, right. He knows enough to know that Sonic 06 is one of the worst games of all time. The game is so bad.
It was fun to poke fun at.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. So, go ahead.
I was gonna say, did you guys hear the who the rumor is going to be playing Shadow?
I don't think it's a rumor. I think it's official, isn't it?
Is it?
I don't know. I thought it was official.
Is it really going to be Jeff Keighley? Because that'd be perfect.
No, it's supposed to
Clip.
be.
That's clip worthy right there. Clip. No, who is it? I remember seeing it, but now I can't think of the name.
Well, if TikTok is anything, the rumor is Hayden Christensen.
Yes, yeah.
Wait, I saw. Oh, okay.
That's who I saw too.
A whole bunch of people have been announced for the movie, but I don't think they've actually announced who Shadow is.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like that's one I'll definitely do some movie coverage on because it makes sense.
If it's gonna get dark, that's a perfect fit. I need Shadow to say that he hates sand, and that my life would be made.
I have brought peace.
Oh my God, jeez,
where are we? The whole movie.
Yeah.
Well,
Shadow really hates sand.
Yeah, apparently. I mean, Sonic Generations was released in 2011, so I that was one of the reasons I found it interesting that they decided to go back to that one. That game did very well, and it's highly regarded for a Sonic game anyway. I think I don't know where the score sits, but I'm sure it's somewhere around an 8. But it's a really cool game. I mean, taking 2D Sonic and then mashing it with 3D Sonic it's unique. So I think it's a little interesting they went with that, and people would go insane if they actually did Sonic Adventure 3. They've been asking for it for years. It's like Mega Man Legends 3. Like they won't give it to us.
Bastards.
Yeah, I mean, what the heck? All right, but let's go ahead and dive in. This is one of the big things that I really want to talk about because I got some opinions. Silent Hill 2 Remake. Let's hear your thoughts.
I thought the trailer looked good.
That looked like dog shit to me.
Are you kidding me?
Nah. I didn't think it looked bad.
I've never played a Silent Hill game, so I don't really have an opinion on it.
Oh my God. It looks so bad. The trailer is horrible. The trailer is so okay. So let's dive into some details with it. So first of all, like I watched back the trailer probably 6-7 times so I could, get a little more.
More than me.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to be able to, legitimately really be able to talk about it and give an opinion. So other than just the event, I wanted to, because I was distracted streaming, so I wanted to watch it over a few times and really make sure I was like seeing what I was. And the game just looks like it could have been, first of all, like an early PS4 game. It does not look good, which is not everything. But you look at the combat in the game, it looks terrible.
Looks like an upscaled PS2 game is what it looks like, because I was just rewatching it again. It just looks like an old game that just has better graphics.
Yeah, like not even a good coat of paint over it. Like I feel like Resident Evil 2 and 3, those remakes on on PS4 and Xbox One look significantly better than this. And the crazy thing is like we haven't gotten a Silent Hill game in so long, and people have been begging to get Silent Hill back. So when they announced this, I was stoked. I was like, okay, they're bringing it back. Konami is doing something right. It looks terrible.
Just like our tinfoil hat time. Maybe they were so fed up with the news for new Silent Hill. It's like, we'll give you a Silent Hill game, but we're going to make it intentionally terrible that you'll never ask us to make another one again, because you'll be afraid that we'll just butcher it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a little frustrating because the long wait for a new Silent Hill game, and they've been working on it for a bit of time. And this is one of the most beloved horror series. I mean, if you are a collector or care at all about getting these games now, I don't know if you know, but the prices are ridiculous. Silent Hill 2, I'm just guessing around the price range still at is like a $200 game. Silent Hill 1 is up there too, and then those the first three are just crazy. Well, 4 is too. 4 is up there in price as well. Like they're expensive. Like you're going to spend close to $1,000 to get the first 4 games. Like it's ridiculous. So. And like the other thing is that they butchered. I don't know if you guys ever played the Silent Hill 2 and 3 HD remaster that they released for PS3. Really bad. And it's cheap as dirt for a reason. It's really bad. Like the performance in the game, super bad. They cut stuff out of the games. It doesn't look good. It's got an HD coat of paint on it that makes it look worse. It's just terrible. Like it's really bad. So like it sucks that it's getting this sort of treatment. But I mean, on top of that, they announced the short message, which launched that day, and you can download it now. I did download it. I haven't played it yet, so I can't talk in depth on my experience with it. From what I hear, though, it's like you can beat it in like 4 hours. It's like an actual game. It's not a demo. It's an actual game that's free, and it's not very good apparently. So it's
is it the last Silent Hill came out in 2009? Shattered Memories.
Yeah, which is not a great game either. It's like it's okay, but it's not very good. Yeah, I don't know. There's outside of like the first 4, and even some people don't care for 4 much. Like the other games are hit or miss. Like Origins is okay, but again, it's not a great game. The Vita game that they put out for Silent Hill is like a over the top, almost like it wants to be a really crappy version of Baldur's Gate. It's like not even remotely a traditional Silent Hill game. It's like it was being developed as a different game. Like it's one of those sort of games where it's like, where's the sound? Like they threw Pyramid Head in there. Like you can, fight him over and over and over in the game and like progress through these rooms. And it's unfortunate, but I am going to check out the short message, which is the game that dropped that day. But I do find it interesting that we are talking about Death Stranding. I wanted to mention that it is called Death Stranding 2 on the Beach. That is the official title of the game.
Yeah, on the beach.
on the beach. On the beach.
Then you'll be on a beach for like 5 minutes, and then you have another 6 hours of walking.
Hey, hey, you gotta appreciate the little things, you know.
Unless they're
You
gonna
go
make it
through
like
all
a,
that stressful walking, and then you go to the beach, and then it's like beautiful, and you enjoy it.
so instead of walking simulators, it's now gonna be like a Euro truck driver simulator. Gonna
Maybe.
mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, as long as it has the American radio, that's all I need.
Then you need to play a trucking simulator. Then you'll be good there. Lawnmower simulator. I play it. It was on PlayStation Premium or whatever, or maybe it was Game Pass. I forget. I tried it out. I'm like, this is way too much like real mowing the lawn. So I'm like, I'm out. I thought
Isn't 17? Isn't there 15 or 16 of them now?
Well, no, you're
That's
talking about
crazy
farming. You're talking about farming simulator. I'm talking about lawnmower simulator. Yeah, where you just mow the lawn, literally.
It's innovation. It's innovation. Like, keep up with the times.
How about power wash simulator?
I'm jealous of people that have the patience for that. I know why it's satisfying. I just there's so many good. I don't want to say good. I want to say better games that you can play. That when people play that, I'm like, how can you commit your free time to this? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, to each their own. If they're having fun, like, more power to you.
What do we got up
Old
next
farming
on
simulator.
the state of play? What do we got next there?
Oh, there was one game I didn't know if you had any thoughts because I'm not a traditional horror fan, but I am a Metro fan. What did y'all think about the Metro VR game?
Oh yeah.
I think it looks really cool. Yeah.
I mean,
I think it's finally getting some real utilization. I think finally, like, the bigger studios are going to commit more to it, because when you think about it, even on, and I'm talking from PC perspective mostly, like, you have the storefronts for all the VR headsets and whatever, but you have the Steam, and it's like there's a couple of really cool games, but it's nothing that makes you like go, oh my god, this is mind blowing. And don't get me wrong, I love the games that I tried in VR, but I still feel like it's still this skepticism about it. But the reality is, it's as the technology is improving, as they're like solving the motion blur and the sickness you get from it, like as they're figuring all that stuff out, I think it's gonna get like a lot more coverage and a lot more funding in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
The VR games have just felt more to me more like a side gimmick. It's like I'll play it for an hour and then I could not touch it for like a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, my PSVR 2, I haven't played it in like 2 months at least.
Yeah, longer for me.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because like I was really excited about it, but for some reason, like, I don't have one, but I'm more excited about the MetaQuest 3 right now. I think here's the thing with that is not just
Get sucked. Sorry.
Well, whatever at this point. I'm zucked on Facebook and Instagram and Threads, so whatever. But I think the like workflow applications that you can do within the MetaQuest 3 are really cool. I've like seen some thorough stuff of people showing like what they're doing, and I think it's pretty neat. Like they're adding in all these sort of, because they've got the MetaQuest Pro as well. That's like the $1,000 headset, which is targeted obviously at like people working in the office or it's targeted for work, but you can play games on it. However, I think it's kind of cool, like the other applications for it. And PSVR 2 does not do AR, and augmented reality is pretty dope now. The stuff with the MetaQuest 3 looks really cool. I like adding in the sort of environment around you to implement into games. Like we talk about indie games, Kurgle, like that opens up the opportunity for a ton of like different sort of indie games that are unique that can do cool things.
There's gonna be like I think a big one is going to be actually in the studios utilizing AI, and we can maybe talk about it tonight. Maybe we can talk about it next week. But I think indie studios utilizing AI and VR is going to be like such a perfect combo for dishing out insane games that take maybe like 2 years to develop, and they're super cool. I think that's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely like getting closer where it's becoming like more standard for a household to have a VR headset. Like I know tons of kids, that had the MetaQuest 2, like families that had gotten them, friends had gotten them for their kids, and they've got it in the household. And I knew somebody that had 3 sets because they had a bunch of people that were using them. They had 3 kids, and then my friend wanted to use it as well, so they had them available. They're definitely becoming more standard. I think that we are on the road to really getting to that point where VR becomes like a bigger experience for everybody, because it's still a niche crowd, although the MetaQuest 2 really captured a crowd, I think, more than any headset ever. The PSVR 1, the big problem with that was that you had to have like multiple different devices. You had like 2 cables and had to hook it up with the camera, and like I didn't have one, but I know that like it was a pain if you wanted to play. Like you were like attached with 2 different cables. You had the camera, all that stuff.
It was simple with iToy. iToy was easy.
Yeah, bring back iToy, man. I miss iToy, actually. That was fun. You remember the wiping, like where you were white? Yeah, I loved it. That was so much fun. I really enjoyed that. But yeah, I mean, I think we're on the road to it being more standard, and I saw a lot of people excited about the Quest 3, and it was selling out when it first dropped. So I don't know. I'm not sure, but I think indie studios will definitely implement more stuff within that, because I'm already seeing stuff happening. But yeah, I mean, what else on the state of play did you guys want to talk about? There was quite a bit, so anything else you guys wanted to cover?
I did want. Let me just open this up. I closed it by accident. There was one.
What did you guys think of Judas?
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
So Judas is from the director that made the last BioShock game.
Yes.
And it has that strange BioShock and like old Fallout game vibe. And I really liked it personally. But
yeah, no, I'm pumped for it, because I love BioShock. I think BioShock's great. So I'm interested to see what they do with it, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it looks interesting. I'm gonna personally, I was like, it looks good, but I want to see a little bit more from the game, just to see if I'm actually gonna like it or not. Because in the last decade or so, I became really skeptical. I don't like buying games at launch. I want to make sure it's definitely something. If I'm gonna spend money and put time into it, it's something that I wanted to make sure it's gonna be a good game. But it's definitely one of those that's on my periphery.
Yeah, that's fair.
Did you guys ever play? Atomic Heart, like the Russian BioShock?
Yeah.
Oh, I have it on my list, and I really want to play it, but there's just so many video games.
Yeah, it's on my backlog at this point, so I'll get around to it eventually.
It's on.
You played it, Lay?
Huh?
You played it?
No, I haven't played. It. It's the same thing. It's on my backlog to play, but there was so much hype for it, and then kind of when it released, it just kind of like
it faded away.
Down.
It's so I can't say a lot about it because I only played about 3 hours, but I enjoyed what I played, but nothing crazy. And like there were so many game releases during that time. Like it's just you can't keep up. Like
I mean, this year is already insane.
Already, yeah. I mean, I don't know if this year will top last year, but if the Switch 2 is dropping, which it is this year, then I don't know. It depends on what launches with. If we get Metroid Prime 4 and all these gigantic games that people are looking forward to. There's already, I mean, we've got what are some of the other bigger games that we know about? I mean, Silent Hill 2,
Dogma 2 is coming out. That's a big one. I think it's really cool. Actually, that's a good point.
I wanted to talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing about that I personally like is when you think about back in the day, like all the arcade games, they were incredibly hard. Like it took
Yep.
you for something that will probably today take you what, like let's say 5 days max. Like back in the day, especially when you were a kid, it would take you fucking months to beat a video game that's not that long. It's just super hard.
Yeah.
And that's what she said. But it's cool to see Dragon's Dogma, Lies of P, like all these harder Souls-like games come out, and people are hyped about it, you know. And there is still a lot of casual people and casual gamers, and it's cool to see that there's so many new gamers every year, and the scene is growing. But I really like the incentive that studios are getting to create harder games because they're getting such good feedback lately. I think that's a really cool thing. And that being said, Dragon's Dogma 2 is I mean, it looks freaking insane.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan. I played 1 and Dark Arisen. Dude, those games are legitimately, when they came out, they just did not have the sort of. I think there's a lot of hype for Dragon's Dogma 2, but the weird thing is that like if you go through and look at like top announcements from the show, it's not even mentioned. And like we did already know about it, but I mean, Silent Hill 2's in every one of those articles, and obviously Death Stranding, and these are games we already knew about. So I hope that it gets the attention that it deserves. It looks like a great game. I mean, of course, if it's good, but based on the last 2 outings, I'm hyped.
Well, you guys seen the? Oh, well, probably just because of the month, but like, have you guys seen the trailer for Pacific Drive? Seen that?
Yes, oh my god, dude, that game looks so fun. Looks so fun, and like nobody's talking about it either.
Oh yeah, saw this. This looks sick,
dude. It looks so good.
Yeah.
I'm like, take my money as well at the end of this month.
Yeah,
24th to 23rd. That's dropping.
Yeah, what sucks about that is there's something else really big that drops that day. What
is it? Sea of Thieves?
Sea of Thieves?
No, Skull and Bones.
Maybe I have to look at the release date, but yeah, there's something big dropping that day too. But I'm gonna play it. I gotta play that game for sure.
Actually, I was looking at the trailer Pacific Drive, and the first thing that came to my mind are those old. You play it on your phone. It's the old games that used to play on like on certain websites where it's like, hey, I can't remember what they're actually called now.
Asphalt. Oh,
it's like a. It's not. I keep want to say like Adobe games. Obviously, that's like the wrong.
Like Flash game. Yeah.
Think like those Flash games where it's like, hey, drive this car from as far as you can, and you upgrade it and kind of go further. Except in like the zombie setting type thing. It felt like a more imagined version of like one of those games where it's like you took a very basic concept and you're like, hey, let's go a little bit more in depth type thing. Yeah. I might be completely wrong, but that's just kind of like, the first thing that came to my mind.
Which is not a bad thing,
Yeah.
They might attract a certain audience that like appreciates that stuff.
Simple game that's not too long. Not every game needs to be a constantly online. Takes 40 hours to beat.
Yeah.
100%. Sometimes like I could play this, beat it in 2 to 4 hours. I'm like, yeah, it's a fun game.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm with you. Not every game needs to be like that at all. Like I'm in the camp that I enjoy those shorter narrative-driven games nowadays because I'm just with time. Like if I can, finish up a game in 8 to 10 hours in a couple sessions, like I'm good. If I get a good story and good gameplay experience out of it, like I'm good. Like I already don't have the time, which is unfortunate because I love RPGs. It's like my favorite genre. I really like open world games now too, but again, like the same concept, like usually those you spend a lot of time in. I'm still playing Tears of the Kingdom. I'm 140 hours in, and I'm not even halfway through the story. So, stuff like that. Yeah,
Christ.
Dude, just doing all the side stuff, having fun, man. Like it's just having fun with it. That's why I said I'm not gonna rush through this game. I'm just gonna have fun with it. I'll play it when I can and have fun with it. Yeah. So.
You said that, and it reminded me. I was like, I think my dad's gonna beat that game before I do. I haven't played it in like several months.
I think it's been about a month since I played it. I need to get back to that. I need to get through and actually beat it.
It
what
took me like 4 years to beat Breath of the Wild, so we'll
did
see.
it really?
Yeah, because I didn't play it I played it when it first came out, and I sat on it for like 2 or 3 years. And then when Tears of the Kingdom was about to come out, I was like, all right, let me actually play this game and actually beat the whole story. But when I did that, it still took me a lot of time, but I ignored most of the side content just to actually get to the story itself.
That's fair.
Get bogged down inside. I got that completionist in me, which is kind of bad. So it'll just like
gotta finish it.
Well, that's not
each section. I do everything in this area, and then I can move on to the next section.
999 Korok seeds. Good luck with that. If you want to 100%
that was
the
a
game.
complete waste of time. But
Yeah, I just saw like one of the streamers post about like getting all of them on stream, and I was like, Jesus Christ.
No thanks.
You need to have a map in front of you, or it's
Yeah.
impossible to find them all.
Yeah, because they're like random and hidden and invisible sometimes.
Because
Like
they weren't meant to be collected, all of them. I mean, I guess they put you have a nice little Korok poop as a trophy.
yeah,
but
you
it's kinda
get
like
you get the golden poop. That's the exciting part. The gold literally does nothing in the game either. Absolutely
There's, like,
nothing.
Yay.
a third of them to unlock. You really only need like a third of them, like a quarter
To get
a third
everything,
to
yeah.
get your upgrades.
Yep. Yeah, you don't even need that many at all. I did want to mention too, because I'm really, really excited about this. And usually, people have their sort of opinions on remasters, but Until Dawn getting remastered for the PS5, I don't know if you guys have played that, but it is a phenomenal game, and it's essentially like a choose your own adventure movie, but like it's like really interesting. And it's one that you'll like want to play through again and again and again to get different endings, and like different things can just happen throughout the game, like not just ending wise. Like, it's really cool.
See, that didn't surprise me when I saw that, because I'm like, that's perfect timing, because there's the whole thing that they're going to be making a live action movie.
Yep. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and in terms of marketing, it does make sense. But I wish that I was hoping that you would bring it up, because I wanted to push back on it, because I think it's disgusting what they're doing. That's it. That's all I
Fair.
have to say.
No,
I don't
go
wanna
no,
get more attention.
What
go
are they
into
doing?
it. Yeah, go into it.
But their remake, first of all, they made a remake that doesn't even, from the trailer, it doesn't even look as good as the original game. The game came out 4 years ago.
2015.
Is it?
Yeah, it's been towards the beginning. Yeah.
Forget I said anything. I'm done.
2015. I'm looking at it right here. I was like, I wanted to make sure too, because I was like, it feels like it could have been a few years ago, but yeah, no, it's there was
literally my first thought is like, I just saw this game. Everybody was playing it. It's been 9 years.
9 years.
Ridiculous.
Which I think like that 10-year point for it was like an early PS4 game. So like I feel like it's at that point where bringing it to a new audience with the new system enhanced, it's a really good game. Now I agree with you that some of the stuff is disgusting. Like the Last of Us stuff is ridiculous. Like we don't need it on every console. Like that one's different, where The Last of Us got a remaster on PS4 and then a remake on PS5 that doesn't even look like a remake.
Well, they remastered like a year after the original release date, which was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
For the first one, at the very least.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I apologize to everybody.
Yeah, as you should. But I mean, marketing wise, it makes sense, right? With the movie, that makes total sense. Now, Kurgle, you could have been thinking about the other one. There was Rush of Blood that came out, which was a VR game.
No, I'm thinking about Until Dawn.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I'm still blown away. That's insane to me. Where are these years going?
Well, one thing that
fly by.
One thing I'll say about which this will kind of flip the game on its head. Honestly, it's going to offer a third-person camera mode. So I don't know how that'll work, because it's not like just taking pictures. It's like a actual mode. So I'm interested to see how that works, because it is a film-like movie. So maybe I
That's
don't
different
know.
dynamic.
Like I feel like Lee, I feel like that's right up your alley. That game. I feel like it might be interesting. You know, what could be cool is like check out the original. It's like you can get it for like $10. I see it all the time, really cheap. And
I've
then
seen
check
it
out,
cheap.
yeah, like real cheap, and it's a good game. So,
Well, that's why I was no surprise when I saw that they were going to make a movie. I was like, wow, that seems like a really easy transition.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it makes sense. Like I would do it too, right? Would you guys do otherwise? Wouldn't you, if you were in the shoes of making that decision? Promote the movie by bringing the 9-year-old game to modern consoles.
Yeah, you do the same thing. Like they did that with Ghostbusters. They brought out Ghostbusters Remaster when Afterlife dropped.
Yep, which is a really good game, by the way. I enjoyed
It
it.
is.
Yeah, a lot of fun, So
Even the Ghostbusters, what was it, the other one? Unleashed. That's not too bad either.
yeah, that one's pretty fun too. Yeah, I really enjoyed the that one Ghostbusters game. The one you mentioned before is essentially like it might as well be part of the movie series. You know what I mean? Like it filled in like an entirely new movie, and it made sense. And like
I think half the script. I think half the script points were what they were going to do for Ghostbusters 3 bled into that movie.
Now, let me
And
ask
Dan
you
Aykroyd
this.
has said that is Ghostbusters 3
Yeah.
then there.
Yep. I've seen that. Now, it's canon, right? Is it canon to the series?
No.
It's not?
I don't think so. Because Afterlife, there was no mention of that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that one might have messed it up. I am looking forward to the new Ghostbusters though. I thought about doing something with the trailer too. I'm excited. I'm wearing a Ghostbusters hat now, guys. Look, I love my Ghostbusters. Got to put it back on because I'm balding and getting memes made about me for being bald. I don't know if you guys seen that.
Didn't you make that meme?
At least you don't.
I
have
shared
hair.
it. Yeah.
That's fine.
I shared it. They've been posting it in the lounge. I was like, whatever. There was a few of them where I'm like, okay, I can't share this, but they were funny. So go ahead and turn me into a meme. I'll take it. Whatever. But hey, we haven't talked about it at all, which I think is maybe one other than the whatever's happening with Silent Hill to Rise of the Ronin. What do you guys think about that game?
Yeah, that got heaps of attention. Is that what I'm thinking of?
It's from Team Ninja, so I mean, I expect this to be a pretty dang good game.
I heard a really good opinion on it. I think Lyric actually said it, which is like a big streamer, but he said somebody got upset that he was comparing it to Ghost of Tsushima, and he's like, well, it is a samurai game in a sense. It is on PlayStation, so Ghost of Tsushima put a standard for me for these games, so I'm gonna hold it up to that standard. And then somebody did mention that it looks like Neo, which wasn't a bad game at all. It's just a very different combat and things that you would, see in like a Souls-like game. So I think it looks really cool. It looks really cool. I like the time period that they chose because apparently you can use like a musket, like a gun. You can have a pistol, so you can also have like a variety of different builds. You're not just stuck with like a katana or
What's the time period
a
of it?
dagger. Basically it's like a blend of Western culture get into that area, so you will see a lot of houses that have that blend of architecture. They did bring like gunpowder, so you have those guns. It just I think it's like an interesting take, but
I mean, it wouldn't be historically inaccurate to have samurais having guns. They've had
they have
a form of musket since the Warren State period.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they have, which is never covered or like never introduced into. I will tell you, I mean, like, did any of you guys play Ghost of Tsushima?
Yeah,
I love the game.
Red Dead Samurai.
Yeah, if it's anything, I mean, Team Ninja is they do definitely different work than something like that. But I feel like some of the vibes I saw from it from the trailer give me sort of that representation. I love Ghost of Tsushima. I love samurais. I love that period and games that are usually. I really enjoy that time period. So I think it'll be pretty cool to check out. I'm definitely excited about that. That was up there for me, one of the tops. But I have to mention that probably none of you will care at all. But I have to mention that Godzilla is getting a collab with Dave the Diver, which
shit.
yeah. So during the presentation, I freak out because I start seeing Godzilla rise from the water, and I'm like, "Well, we're getting a new Godzilla game." Like I was freaking out. It's one of my favorite franchises, and I don't know if you guys know, but people love Dave the Diver, and it's
I heard amazing things.
it won some awards from different award shows this year or last year, and yeah, it looks like a really cool game. I want to play it now. I'm definitely going to play it 100%, and such a cool collab and very interesting because if you've ever watched any like gameplay, essentially you're scuba diving for fish, you travel all through the ocean, and then you come back up with the fish and you make sushi in a restaurant.
But isn't there like a shitload more like activities and things to do? It's
Yes.
like a full blown RPG, right?
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff to do. So introducing Godzilla like makes sense, but something I never would have imagined for that game.
So
And-
what you're
Godzilla
saying
sushi.
is we can turn Godzilla into radioactive sushi.
What I'm wondering, that's what I'm wondering. Like if I don't know that Toho would allow Godzilla being killed by Dave the Diver, but I'm interested to see what like the sort of implementation is with all that, and it looks cool. I definitely did want to mention that because it's kind of neat, and but yeah, I mean,
Different.
yeah, and then I don't know if you guys saw the V Rising game at all. There's been talk about that. It's supposed to be like a Diablo-esque clone. But it legitimately looks pretty cool. So it's
also,
like,
but it does have building elements and survival elements.
Yeah.
So in that regard, it's like much more advanced in a sense. It looks really cool. I watched pretty much every release. They did like 2 alpha tests and 1 beta test, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
for V Rising.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, I didn't even know
Yeah.
that. Interesting.
Yeah. Maybe it was PC only. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's just now coming to PlayStation. I don't know. But yeah, there's been a bunch of gameplay already, and it looks really, really cool.
Yeah, it definitely looks cool. There's also Legendary Tales, which is a PSVR 2 exclusive. I mean, they said that they were going to announce a lot of VR stuff, and it looks like a take on sort of. It reminds me of you guys probably haven't played like any of the old school like big box PC games that were a lot of the like Magic sort of. So there's a game called
Heroes of Might and Magic.
there's that. No, not kind of. I mean, it's got those sort of vibes, but like Wizardry and Magic is one that I'm thinking of. There was one on the DS that looks just like this, but it's taken into like a VR direction. Anyway, it looks cool. It's got like Skyrim vibes. It's more. It looks like it leans more into the Magic side of things, though. But yeah, it says magic, swords, hammers, bow and arrow, more in a fantasy environment. That's cool because that sort of stuff in VR is really fun. Like being able to control weapons and stuff like that.
On that note, I've been playing like one of the VR games that I really enjoyed is Blade and Sorcery. So it's like a fantasy like medieval time, and it's been super fun. And I'm actually planning with some people in my community to like do some more videos on that hopefully soon when I find the time. But it's super fun. You can like smash NPCs with a cast iron frying pan. It's beautiful.
Well, that sounds fun. Yeah, that'll be a cool one. Now, let me ask you guys, because this launches in a few days, and I think I do want to talk about it. I'm not necessarily, I think, the target audience, but I don't judge a game really until I play it, unless it looks like absolute crap. As far as like the gameplay mechanics, especially if it's something that's not really targeted at me or up my alley. But Foam Stars launches in just like a few days. I think it comes out on like the 8th, which is a Square Enix game of all things. And it's like essentially Splatoon and Fortnite mixed.
I have a mate who he's streaming.
You have a maid?
Next...
You're rich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god, my mate, he's gonna be streaming the next game, and he's like, "Oh, you should come and watch." I'm like, I could not give a shit about it. Like, they're not up my alley.
Is it?
Come back to me when you play something else.
Is it? It's free, isn't it? Isn't it a free game? Like a free to play game? I feel like it is. I'll check it out. Like I'll give it a go to see whatever. I mean, I'm not really into those style of games because it's also sort of like kind of like Overwatch 2. Like it's like a mashup, I feel like, of those three, but it's like a 4v4 game. So that's sort of the way that Splatoon is set up. What'd you say?
I was just look at the comments. Spitfoot, and I was like, that sounds horrible.
Yeah, well, that would be Mark for you. That sounds about right. I don't know, man. It looks it's certainly not targeted at me. But it is like PlayStation Square Enix's take on Splatoon, like straight up, and which makes sense. And instead of spraying paint, you're spraying foam. Everywhere, which I like Splatoon, but I haven't even played Splatoon 3, so I'm not like caught up, and I only played through the story of 1 and 2, really. I didn't play a ton of the multiplayer. So I don't know. We'll see. It looks like, I bet it's a game that's supported for a long time, and I bet it's successful at launch. Now, whether it can keep the longevity of people, because there is a massive Splatoon 3 update about to happen. Like one of those big expansions. I don't know if you knew about the what was it called, the Octo expansion for Splatoon 2, but it was essentially like a brand new game added into the game. So that's just around the corner. So if like Splatoon fans are checking this out, they're also going to very quickly drop this to go back over and play that, because I mean people are there's rabid fan base for Splatoon. It's played competitively, and yeah, I mean, I think it's cool. I like to watch it more than I like to play it, which I can't say about most games. I'm not like a super big fan of watching people play competitive games. It just you know what I mean? It just doesn't interest me that much. But yeah, so it's going to be a PS Plus free game of the month. So they can grab and try it out, this article says. So yeah, so it looks like it's going to be a free game, I think, at launch. So yeah, I mean, if it's free, I'll check it out. If that's the case, it sounds like it's a free game at launch. So yeah, what do you guys think about Helldivers 2 that we've known about for a long time and hasn't came out and keeps getting delayed?
Yeah,
it's one of those where it's too far gone, I think, at this point.
You think so? Here's what sucks. It's like Starship Troopers, which is like up my alley. Like it legitimately is like that. If you watch the trailers, it looks like a Starship Troopers game. But yeah, I mean, like you could be right. It could be too far gone. It could be like that. What was that like launch title for? I think it launched around the PS5 and Series X, and it like isn't even a thing anymore. What was that called? Crap.
I don't think it's called crap.
Yeah, no, it was like really hyped, but people dropped it immediately, and it was a game similar to this, like a third person shooter with the same sort of theme. But yeah, well, I mean,
How many times has it been delayed? Helldivers 2.
I am
It's
not
been on the
sure.
radar for a while, though. I think
They've been
Pretty
showing it
sure.
in presentations for like 2 years at least. So, like I feel like we've known about this since COVID. And
But
I think
actually, you know what? On that note, yeah. Well, now that you mentioned COVID, and also you gotta consider that there's not a lot of these like hordes of enemies coming at you games. I feel like I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's different on console, but I feel like there's a couple of major ones. You have the Left 4 Dead. You
yeah.
have Killing Floor. Which other ones? I mean, you had a couple of those random titles. One was like World War Z, and there was, I think, another title. But people love mindlessly like going through hordes of enemies, which
They do.
I feel like, yeah, I feel like it's cool, and I think there's still gonna be a market for it. Now that you say that, I don't know.
You see
Maybe they'll
those
be fine.
ads for like the mobile games where you're like shooting and like all the thousands of zombies are coming at you and you get the upgrades as you're running away and you got to keep them from touching you.
Oh,
It-
yeah.
Instant gratification.
It's like that, like sort of, yeah, like satisfying type. Not for me, but obviously people play it.
Sorry, this is like way out of left field because you brought up those types of games, and there's only one game I think I've actually really liked. Have any of you played the game called Hollow Cure?
Hollow Cure.
I don't think I've heard of it. I have to look it up.
It's that
I've
same
never-
type of game where you have a character and you have to survive mobs and waves coming at you.
Wait. Hollow Cure.
Yeah, it's based off of, if you know anything about VTubers, the Hololive. It's like a fan-made game.
Yeah, I've never heard of this.
Oh, you're talking about, okay. He's talking about a game that's more like Vampire Survivors. Now that's a different.
Okay.
feel
Yeah,
like
that's
I didn't know if
Yeah.
it was like the
That's-
same type of thing as that, or
No.
different. It's just the only
I was
game in that kind of area that I know that I played.
But
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is similar in that concept, but it's more like a
Yeah.
Oh,
twin
for sure.
stick shooter. Like,
Yes.
Yeah. gives me like,
Okay.
did you guys ever play like Smash TV? Like a game like that. That's like a old Midway. It was an arcade game, but it's on like 100 different collections. But yeah, it reminds me of that, where you have to like that one. You have like the hordes of enemies coming out of the doors, and you got to clear the room essentially. Like you just gotta make sure nothing touches you. But yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what to say on that for sure. That's interesting, and I hope that Helldivers 2 does well, because I would like to see it do well. It looks like it could be
Does-
cool, but
Doesn't need that
December-
Duke Nukem treatment.
I want a new Duke Nukem game.
I do too. I do too.
didn't-
I am
hate
I am
Duke
friends
Nukem
with the
forever.
voice actor,
No,
and he
no,
would
neither
happily
did I.
voice act another game. He would happily do it. So, yeah, that's
I didn't hate Duke Nukem Forever. Like, yes, you could tell it was bombarded by delays and different studios and all that. But at the end of it, I was like, yeah, that was fun. It was
It's an
just a fun game.
enjoyable core game there. Just needed to be tweaked here or there. It'd be a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people freaking.
And they gave
hated
it
that one.
DLC too.
Yeah. Mark, there was a game announced. This one was totally overlooked. That it looks like it's right up your alley. It's called Zenless Zone Zero. I don't know if you watched the trailer for that, but if you go like on the PlayStation YouTube,
I
like
think
they
it's waifus. He'll like it.
well, all I see is an anime girl with giant boobs, and I remember the gameplay. It looked like fun, but
We know you remembered. It's just you have that detail. We're sure.
Yeah.
Right up here.
yeah,
Right
Yeah.
up here.
yeah.
It looks like that standard Japanese like hack and slash type game or combo type game a little bit, but
Yeah, it does. It does look like that, but I figured the aesthetic of it might might be up your alley. We're just going to call him the anime waifu guy from now on. That's
Anime connoisseur.
you
you're a
cover
local weeb.
you cover all our
No,
weeb stuff.
Weeb is
Yeah.
insulting. I was gonna say weeb, but then it's
You-
you need to have a nicer title.
Mark, okay.
When I was younger, I definitely would have been considered a weeb, but I'm not that anymore.
Here's a funny thing, Mark. Do you remember back in the day? We didn't have the term weeb. They were called otakus. We were always calling people otakus.
The same thing.
Yeah, but I don't remember the term weeb ever used in like 2010 or.
It's been there. I mean,
Oh,
Filthy
I
Frank made a
don't.
whole song on it.
Oh
That's
man,
where
maybe
it's
I don't.
used.
Maybe I don't know nothing.
Hebrew.
Yeah, well, I don't.
How
Yeah,
old is that song?
I don't watch Filthy Frank.
It
So
came out like
Don't
9
look
years
it up.
ago.
It's too old. No, it's longer
No,
than
I
9
love
years
Filthy.
ago.
I grew up on Filthy Frank, and I love him.
Me too. Me too.
he doesn't do
Welcome to the
YouTube
rice
anymore, right?
field.
No, he's Joji now. He does music, but it's completely different.
Okay.
He's been spilling some pink guy into his songs, so
That guy's amazing.
What?
yes.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Clip.
It's a
This
whole
is
rabbit
the Insider Club.
Brandon dislikes Filthy Frank. No, I mean, all right, obviously we know this is a news heavy week. Without even looking at the notes, I do want to go ahead and mention Suicide Squad.
Not heard good things about it.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's not a game I would have played anyways.
I think it's one of those things where it's gonna have a redemption arc. Because it really looks like the core gameplay looks fun. It's just repetitive as shit. That's the problem I saw with it. Yeah, it looks super fun. It just
Well, here's a
reminds me
problem.
of- what?
Here's a problem.
So far,
For-
it's fun.
have you gotten crashes? Have you gotten crashes?
No,
You haven't gotten any crash. How many hours have you put into it?
I forgot about 8 so far.
8. Okay, so I watched a stream and the guy's game crashed 5-6 times. And if
Yeah.
if you go online, I was listening to some videos today to prep for the podcast because I wanted to make sure I was well rounded on everything. And yeah, that's a big issue is the performance of the game outside of the gameplay. And I guess I'm allowed to speak. Obviously, I can now. When I played the alpha is very similar and looks pretty much the same as the release. It wasn't that long ago. What was it, like 2 months ago, maybe, the alpha? Yeah, something like that. Doesn't look any different. It didn't stand out to me. It was not, to me, it did not feel like an Arkham game, and it did not feel like a game from the people that made one of the best superhero trilogies of all time.
Look, if you go in thinking it's gonna be like the Arkham games, it's not. It's just the story they take from it, and a lot of people are pissed because the story of people who dies. And an annoying thing is,
It's
like,
literally in the title. What did you guys
it's in the
expect?
damn title. Yes, they're going to die, and I give Rocksteady all props for actually going through with that. And then it's not like, oh, they're going to come back and they're all going to save the day and team up. No, they've done a completely different story. And, like, this is a lot better than Gotham Knights, which was a giant pile of shit.
Yeah, that was a really bad game. I was super disappointed with that too. But that wasn't in the Arkham universe, so
No, as much as they tried to connect it to.
they
Cyber
tried,
Lariat says
but
Gotham Knights was better. Hell, I
Oh,
think
God, no.
Marvel's
Well,
Avengers is better.
I will say
No.
this. Gotham Knights has gotten a lot of updates, so I've heard that it's a better game now. But
Gotham Knights got him a lot of updates. Get it?
I did hear some along the lines with when they were talking about Suicide Squad, where somebody was. This is a little bit different of an argument, but they were comparing the graphics of Suicide Squad compared to like a game from Arkham Knight, which is like 9 years old. And I did see some criticism of
People don't take
modern-
in consider. One thing
Yeah.
about that, people don't take into consideration the amount of stuff you can render locally, and then the amount of stuff you need to render.
it's a
and
live service
take-
game.
Yes, and
Yeah.
you need to take in consideration the online aspect. Like people that it goes over their heads so easily. But you can't
people are
compare
gonna
like
complain
a
about it.
yeah, for sure.
Mm.
I just think it's silly to compare fundamentally two different games. you know?
Well,
like
I'll say this. That's true, but I don't think it should be to the extent of it looking worse than a game that came out, 9-10 years ago. I mean, I think that the first Arkham game looks better than Suicide Squad. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous. I get the live service thing, but also this game did not need to be. This game did not need to have you connected online at all times. That angers me so bad because that means that game won't be around in 10 years. The game might not even be around in 5. Like we'll see.
Oh, we'll see. I mean, I
will
think
be.
I think also video game studios are moving more towards products. They're looking at things. They're looking at a video game as a product. They're not looking at it as a entry in a series of games they're making, if that makes sense. Like they're not thinking, okay,
That's
we're
the
gonna plan
problem.
out. We're not gonna, do 5 games in the next 12 years. We're gonna do 2 games in the next 12 years, but we're gonna support each of those games for 6 years or whatever.
Is that the same kind of argument that I think, I don't know if it was a CEO or somebody high up at Ubisoft was like, you have to get
You're
used
not
to
gonna-
not owning
yeah.
games anymore. I know that got a lot of backlash, but I assume it's the
Yeah.
same kind of mentality.
I don't think it's the same necessarily because when you think about it, like look at Call of Duty, and that's why they're getting so much backlash, right? Like Battlefield 2042, shit show at the beginning, right? Now it's at a point where it's like it's pretty decent. And
It's
then
good now.
They're coming out with a new Battlefield game, but they probably don't have to because what they can do is they can take this live service game, they have a good engine to build upon, and it still looks amazing. Like the game still looks great considering
Yeah.
that there's so many players and so many things happening. But on top of that, you take in consideration all the development costs, right? Like, do you want them to spend another 5 years building a whole new game, or do they have the base, right? They have what they already created and they build on top of it. They make a campaign, they make events, they make, I don't know. A lot of games do it badly when we talk about live service stuff, but there's some games that actually do it pretty good, and I don't think it's necessary. My point is, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. It's the way that they execute on that like idea that is bad most of the time.
I think there's some argument is that some of that live service format does start to trickle down into more single player type games, especially you see some people it's you have to be online, which necessarily shouldn't be, or this is always this guy's single player game series. Like I love that you're supporting it, but I eventually want another game, full new story to be.
I agree with that. Like I was really disappointed. That's one of the things I was really disappointed about 2042 is like there's no campaign. And like they said they try to present it to you as like we're taking this cool new approach. We're gonna tell the story through the multiplayer.
Yep.
Bitch, you're giving me 5 sentences each time I start a match. That's not a campaign. That's like a lazy way to say we don't want to make a campaign because we want to sell you a battle pass. Like that's the way that I saw it, right?
Yeah.
And there's obviously bad things about it, but I don't think it's necessarily all bad. We always see, and that's the thing with gaming, like there's this pendulum. Like it's always like either fully to one way or fully the other way. But I think a lot of it is in the middle where it should be.
Yeah. I mean, I think of those types of games like it would to me it would make more sense if a game like a Battlefield or a Call of Duty kind of splits into like you have the multiplayer portion where that just constantly gets updated. You don't need a new game. You just have your always online and then go back to a Call of Duty game where it's just your campaign as its own separate game. But I feel like they're not going to go that route. But
well, I think
that the most sense.
I think it's like a lose-lose situation, right? If they tell you, okay, we're gonna make campaigns, but you're gonna have to pay full price for them. There's no multiplayer, right? Then the gamers are gonna say, well, why the fuck am I paying $70 for a 20-hour campaign and I don't have multiplayer, right? Like there's always going to be something for gamers to complain, and as a game studio it's really hard to win. Like you can't, and that's the thing with anything, right? Like content creation and video game creation, whatever, right? You can't please everybody, and at the end of the day they're going to look at the numbers, they're going to say, hey, this makes sense for us as a studio, let's go with it, right? Because at the end of the day, the developers have to get paid, management, QA testers, like all the little things that not a lot you don't see right up front.
Yeah. No, I don't know if anybody else had anything, but I guess that's the one thing where it's if you're just making a campaign, like, well, it doesn't need to look it doesn't look like a movie. You don't need these hundreds of millions of dollars. You could probably cut back some of that cost, save some money.
Yep.
And you're probably still gonna sell some copies, but I mean,
But
100%.
only
what
care
about
about money.
shareholders? What about shareholders? They have
That's
to
the
get their
that's the
return.
problem. That's the
Shareholders
problem
have
with gaming right
ruined
now.
Gaming.
Well, see, here's my issue. Like,
I agree.
you can like whatever you like, but the problem is, like, some of these games coming out, like Suicide Squad, that's pushing towards this stuff that we're all not for with gaming. As far like Kurgle, you talked about, I'm interested more in indie because of the crap coming out. Like, we're getting to the point where we're okay with getting crap releases at launch, and I'm not okay with that. And the live service, okay, it does not. That game does not need to be connected online at all times. And because of that, unless they disconnect that, which they have the capability of doing, then that game's not going to be preserved. So, like, that's my problem too. And like all these games are just going to be lost to time. I mean, like, somebody brought up Anthem. That was one of the games I was thinking of. Like, Anthem. Like, that's just like that. And there was a Godfall. I mean, Godfall was another game that closed down in a year. Within the year of it coming out.
Yeah.
So, like, I think 1 out of 10 live service games are successful.
But that's my point. It's not always necessarily bad, right? You have great games. I mean, there's a perfect example, and I know I bring this game up a lot, but Path of Exile, right? The guy that worked on, I think he worked on Diablo, but basically, actually he didn't work on Diablo, but he was a big Diablo gamer, and eventually Diablo 3 has its ups and downs, right? And it was a live service game for many years, and people either hated it or loved it, and it was like this whole shit show.
Yeah.
And this guy goes like, I'm gonna open up my own studio, I'm gonna make what I wanted Diablo to be all these years.
Yeah.
And they literally have this philosophy that they have microtransactions, right? Like, they have some you can buy some additional storage space, you can buy these costumes, effects, but nothing gives you actual player power, right? There's no marketplace like in Diablo 3 where you could spend like $700 and get best gear in the game, and like, what the fuck is the point of playing in an ARPG? But he made it a point, like, I'm not gonna do this, and they stuck by it, and they're just growing and growing and growing. And now Path of Exile 2 is coming out, and it just, you got to give props to those studios that do it right, you know. Because obviously there's always going to be the bad things that studios do, but that's inevitable. That's anywhere in the industry for sure.
I don't know.
I'm not trying to defend Suicide Squad, just to be clear. I'm just playing devil's advocate for the sake of the discussion, right? I think that it should be optional to be online. I agree 100%.
Always.
You know, but then you get into the deeper things of what studios have to do and what they want to do, and that's it.
The issue of, if it's a multiplayer game, it should be a multiplayer game. If it's a single player game, keep it a single player game. This blending kind of ruins gaming to a degree, at least for me, because there's games I love that are online service, more towards the MMO side of the house, because the only one I really play is Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah.
But I don't mind that. But if I want to play a single player game, like, I would like to be able to play it and not have to worry about it going offline and being screwed
for sure.
forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
One thing Skyrim did well.
Yeah, it did. I mean,
One thing.
There's many things, but
I saw that, like, the season 1 for Suicide Squad will be dropping soon, so we'll see as these seasons progress whether it sticks around. But my guess is that this is not going to remain a successful game, even with Gotham Knights, like, getting all the patches and work done to it. A few of the hardcore people have gone back to it and said it's good, but have you heard that, like, sort of universally, like, people are going back and flocking to this game? It was free on PlayStation Plus, and I still didn't hear anything about it. So, like, 2 months ago.
Gotham Knights got made by WB Games.
Yeah, I think it was WB Games Studio. So
I think I only played about 4 hours of that. I'm like, nope. This is bad.
But there's a larger issue at play when you talk about all these, like, great franchises that get taken over by these, big studios. Is games are being made by programmers and product managers, they're not getting made by gamers. That's like a really big, issue that I see with the games in the last like 8, 9, 10 years. Because when you think about it, and I mentioned Skyrim earlier, Skyrim we didn't know how good we had it, right? But then Bethesda said, well, you guys like this? I'm going to sell you the same game for the next 12 years, right? And that's another shitty thing to do. It also, you can't win. Like, you will get one good game, everybody's going to like it, and then the studio is going to go, oh, look at these fools. They're going to keep spending money on this one project we made.
Yeah.
Let's just keep churning it up, But
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We had somebody in the chat say, my main problem with Kill the Justice League is that there's 2 Floyd Lawton dead shots now because of Origins. Well, here, let me mention a spoiler, because, I mean, that was kind of a spoiler anyway. So, if you don't want to hear it, tune out for a second. But
too bad.
Yeah, sorry. King Shark is able to take Green Lantern's ring. Like, that does not... Yeah, I mean, like, that doesn't hold with the...
He told you can close your
Yeah, I said close...
I don't want to hear it.
I warned you. I warned you.
TikTok beat you.
If you're 8 hours in, you should have already seen that anyway. You should have been...
No, I keep going. I keep, like, taking my time.
Oh, gotcha. There ain't much to take your time with, but but no, like, continuity and then, just comic book source material, like, as far as the Arkham games, like, they were very true to the comics, and they were following a story with the comics, and this is part of that universe, so it's just weird that Rocksteady's like, let's just throw stuff... Here's what I think. I think the Rocksteady that made those games is not even the same Rocksteady at all. I think we're looking at probably an entirely new cast of developers, production crew, everything, art designers.
But that's what happens when there's a good game series. Like, let's say they release 3 really good games, right? All those developers, managers, they're all going to get raises, and it's going to get to a point where the studios are not going to want to pay them that much. And this happens all the time in software development, whether it's gaming, whether it's, regular stuff, companies that sell whatever they want. If they have a good year or a good few years, they're going to get fired for the sole...
Move on.
No, yes. But most of the time they're going to be churned, and because they bleed too much money to the company, right? And then you get, cheaper people, in a sense, that work the same thing, but they're just not as passionate. They're not going to do the same job, and that's just the reality of it.
So Suicide Squad was delayed, what, twice? 2 or 3 times?
2, I think.
2 times? So I wonder what was changed when that trailer, the first premiere, I don't know if you remember, Lee, but it got massive backlash, was downvoted like crazy. What was changed from that point? Because to me, like, it visually looked like a better game. Obviously, the trailer was god-awful, but it visually, when they showed actual, which was like not much, it was mostly a cinematic trailer, it looked like it was going to be an entirely different type of game. So I wonder what was changed from that point, because that's been at least 2 years, right? 2-3 years maybe.
Well, yeah, this game's been in development for about 4, I think.
That's a lot of time.
That's not long. Yeah, that's not long, but the delay, I feel like I remember seeing it. I don't remember if it's 2020 or 2021 that trailer was revealed.
It was last year. I think this time last year, because I remember looking and going, yeah, it's about to come out. Yeah, it ain't.
The very first trailer?
Oh, no, the gameplay trailer that came out.
Yeah,
that got
gotcha.
ripped on like no tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. I just, I hope the best for the game, whatever. I actually kind of don't, because I'm tired of seeing this crap, so whatever. At this point, I don't know. We'll see if it keeps traction, because, I mean, we'll keep updates on it when the season 1 launches. We'll see what patches come aboard. They did put out something, I want to say, on Twitter, that there should be a performance patch or something coming soon. So there's something dropping for people that are actually playing the game pretty soon. So, and also
That are actually playing the game.
well,
yeah,
I mean,
yay.
yeah, I'm being real with you. I also didn't realize that Helldivers 2 launches on the 8th, by the way. So,
Yeah, it does.
That's close.
yeah,
Until they
Right around the
delay it
corner.
again.
until they do, well, it's awfully close to delay, but they've done that before. They've done that before. So I wouldn't be surprised. Hey, what do you guys think about the we'll get to the other notes, but what do you guys think about the Tomb Raider remastered trilogy, cuz that drops on the 14th.
Oh yeah, you can freeze the butler, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
Seen nothing but good things about it.
Yeah. I think it's I love the series, so I'm stoked. I even like
But-
the reboot series.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's justified to make a remake. It has such a cult following, and so many people love those games. That
Yeah.
I feel like it's one of the, not rare, but one of the proper ways to do it for sure.
Yeah, and
It's
the
just 1
other
and 2, isn't it?
no,
the
it's
first
one. No, 1 through 3. It's
Oh,
1
it's
through 3. Yeah. What the? Alrighty then. What was it? What was that? For all the audio listeners, Lee just let a bunch of balloons off for some reason.
It's this shitty Mac reactions that has no off switch unless you go into and
What?
find the setting to turn it off. It's
Yeah.
bullshit.
I have,
Alright.
I have a guy at work that always does it. We have the craziest discussion about a project, and he just goes like lifts his hands up, and there's fucking balloons. It's great.
What the heck?
It's just going horrible balloons everywhere.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. So big deal news obviously hit right at the beginning of the week. Actually, I think it hit the day after maybe the last podcast episode. But Xbox fires its entire physical disc department, shifting towards digital only. The entire
Damn.
department. Yeah.
Yikes.
I think that's a mistake.
Mm.
Uh,
Well, they did say that their Xbox refresh is a beautifully digital only console. That was Phil Spencer's words. Beautifully digital.
Between that and the employees, yeesh.
beautifully fired.
Yeah.
I mean, that's more people losing their jobs in the game. I mean, here's my take, because there's more of this. We're not done. Who would in their right mind would want to join the video game industry at this point, unless you are an indie developer or an indie studio where these sort of problems, these AAA shareholder type companies are involved? Like, who would want to do that now at this point? When you
I wouldn't encourage it. I mean, if you want to make a game, do your own thing, even if it's part time. Like, if you have the passion for it, you'll make an indie game and make a name for yourself.
I mean,
'Cause,
look at Super
so much
Meat Boy.
No, but regardless of like the whole fire and all that, all we've heard for years is how terrible the work culture is at these AAA studios. So who
Yep.
wants to really get into that industry? Like, it doesn't seem like it's sustainable long term.
Well, people just think that it's just because it's video games that it's this marvelous thing to do, when in reality, big studios is just like working any other office, like corporate job. Like that's what it comes down to. And that's what I was saying earlier, is like, you can't afford to have passionate people on board because they're going to cost you too much. And because you're so worried about what the shareholders want, you're not going to listen to creative people. You're not going to take risks on people that want to do different stories, because, hey, we might lose money on this project because we're shoveling, hundreds of millions of dollars into this. So,
But is that necessarily sustainable long term? Because eventually, I mean, people will buy you can find people to buy your games, but outside of maybe like a Call of Duty type thing, like, I don't think it's eventually going to be sustainable, because
I think it
eventually
most
people are
definitely
gonna
is.
drop off. Well, because you already kind of seen it now with the indie games starting to get more of a push because they're more creative. They don't
for sure.
have this
Yeah.
high overcost. And I think eventually you're going to see this shift to indie games getting more money, being a little bit bigger, and being that more creative. And to some degree, it's going to overshadow a lot of AAA games just because they're big money, no risk. It's just a cookie cutter, boring game.
I agree, but also you got to think about how big mobile gaming is, and these AAA studios are rack so much money through microtransactions and mobile games. A lot of people don't know, but mobile gaming, in terms of like revenue and sales, is
Oh.
bigger than all the platforms, all the other gaming platforms combined.
Yeah, it
So
is.
just think about it for a second.
Tencent
There's no
is like
overhead.
what, the top company? Tencent?
It's one of them.
Yeah,
It's the
I
biggest
mean,
one in China, I think. But I
yeah.
mean, there's no development cost when you deal with mobile gaming. It's the cheapest crap out there.
But that what they do is they just do a lot of, psychological research, things that they can do to get you to spend money, and it works. And that's why it's so big. Like
Yeah.
there's the biggest amount of whales in gaming
But I
is
mean,
on mobile.
Everybody has a phone, and people that don't play traditional games might download a mobile game to kill, X
Candy
amount of time.
Crush, Candy Crush,
Yeah.
Flappy Bird. I mean, like Angry Birds. Yeah, things like that. I mean, are like what especially during those time periods. But I mean, it's it's a thing now. But do you guys just remember like those certain time periods, like when Angry Birds launched? That was like it was massive. It was just it was everywhere. Like everybody talked about it. And Flappy Bird, it's just most simple. You just tap the screen, and like people are obsessed, and like that's all it takes for mobile gaming. Like it doesn't take much because you're grabbing everyone, really. Like you're grabbing the general audience. You're not grabbing the core gamers who are playing on a console, and you're
making it accessible to everybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's a different question. Because do you see? Because I guess there's a difference we deal with obviously there's been in recent years been a lot of talk about the whole loot box crap, but even with some of this DLC microtransaction stuff, does it feel at times like it's kind of gambly to a degree? That the industry is going to milk you for all you want, but there's a point where the industry is not going to fix itself, so certain things should maybe be, banned at a legal level to kind of, force the industry to kind of regulate certain things and just dabble on it a little bit.
I don't know. The market in the US is so vast and so open and so lobbied towards capitalism that it's I and there's so much money in the US that the consumerism part is so big. I don't know about Australia, but I know about Europe. They're more likely to tell you, "Hey, you can't be doing this. We're gonna, straight up ban loot boxes and shit." So,
I mean, the EU and the different countries in Europe kind of have started to go that route because at least with the loot box portion of it, they see it as this is gambling.
yeah,
And it is very predatory to people that either don't have control or geared toward kids who, I got mom and dad's credit card, let me rack up $500.
100%. That's why that whole lawsuit happened with Fortnite. They had to like pay back like millions upon millions of dollars. Like for like 6 months, you could just like at any point just say, "Oh, I want to refund all my shit." And so many kids and young adults were like, "Oh my god, I made back $600 that I spent on Fortnite." Like hell yeah, but that doesn't happen in the US. It's very rare. So I think I think there is moral ground with consumers, but there's also way too much consumerism in the US to stop it at this point,
Yeah.
Without forcing the issue, forcing the companies to be like, you can't do this.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I wanted to add in something real quick because this did just drop in the last like I don't know 10 hours. I just saw it today, and it's kind of everywhere. There's a rumor out, and it seems to have some significant backing to it that an actual new PlayStation handheld console is in the works, and so it sounds like they legitimately want to do a predecessor to the PlayStation Vita, which if you had one, also interacted with the PlayStation TV, and then obviously the PS3 and PS4. So like you could do before like the PlayStation Portal, you were already able to do that. You could stream games from your console. So this would be interesting because this would be a dedicated handheld, And I want to give the actual information that we have here because I don't know about you, but I'd be super interested in this, having a dedicated PlayStation handheld again. That says, following the Vita's relatively poor commercial performance, it never really seemed like that Sony would return to the handheld space. A recent video from the YouTuber includes a segment on a new PlayStation handheld nicknamed Vita 2. Unlike remote play only PS Portal, this supposed new device will be a dedicated Portal console that can play games natively. The report states that the machine is in a high-level design phase, meaning it's in a very early state, apparently at least 2 years out, and technically not entirely greenlit for launch. It will have a custom APU from AMD, and in a nutshell, would be capable of running digital PS4 games natively. As for PS5 software, MLID says developers tell them it's plausible that games could be updated on a case-by-case basis. So if it is a dedicated handheld like that, that sort of makes sense. That it's up to PS4 Pro natively. I mean, what do you guys think?
I guess the question is can it really compete with the Steam Deck? Because obviously Nintendo's gonna do their own thing, and they've got their first party library that's gonna bring people in. But it seems like it's real competition in this market. It's gonna be the Steam Deck, and that has such a already dedicated library that it can kind of play to varying degrees. Obviously, I don't know if they're going to be patient enough to grow the market, or if they're going to be able to.
But here's something.
Here's
food for a thought on that. Like,
yeah,
I agree. But what if their plan is to actually, since they've never been doing it, do backward compatibility with old like Vita games and old PSP games? Like, if they did that, they have crazy good libraries at the time.
They'd have to open a market because
because it's handheld, so you don't necessarily need, insane AAA games on it. You need fun games on it that are quick that you can play on the go. If they did that, which there's 10% chance that they're doing it.
Yeah.
If they do that, they're gonna have some really good traction, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree, because the other issue is you can already play a lot of their first party games on Steam that they started porting over, which you can then play on the Steam Deck. You just have to wait like a year since it's come out. Because I think the second Zero Dawn game comes out on Steam in like a month or something like that. So they'd have to tap into that or stop porting their games to PC altogether and kind of force that.
I think it'll work, but I also think I don't think it's gonna be a directly competition to the Steam Deck. You know what I mean? Because the new games, they're getting put into the Steam market, but the older games, you can't find a lot of these games. But it makes sense for them to sell the new games because they're getting a lot. They're probably getting more adopters on the PC side to their console through it. So I think it's a smart thing to do.
Or at least, if they be more patient, actually make a better handheld. But I just like a lot of things, I'll remain skeptical. We don't even know if it's going to be a thing or not. But
and
as for got a good library, but is that going to be enough to bring enough people to the console that actually want to play those games for it to be financially viable? Because obviously some of their dedicated fans will, but is there going to be enough of a market there?
Yeah, I mean, look, the PlayStation Portal, there was an outrage on it not being a dedicated handheld, right? Like, if you watched any YouTuber
that made
ever,
no sense to me.
There was an absolute outrage for that. But then it sold out, and you still can't get it in stores. I see the drops. There'll be tweets and sold out in minutes, seconds. They're gone like that. There'll be a Best Buy drop, and they're gone. So they're still not being stocked in stores, just like the PS5. So I mean, I don't know. I know people would be excited about this, but other than that, I don't know. But it also says that it concludes by saying that it could possibly be a PS6 companion device that's a portable alternative targeted at the Japanese market, which we all know that Japan's market is heavy with the portables. Like they love
Yeah.
portable
Mm.
systems and consoles.
Does that make sense as far as they're trying to do something with their, because they already do some level of their remote play type thing? Are they gonna like essentially integrate that to be like, well, you can just, if you have it on your PS5, you can pair it and you can just essentially play your PS5 games on the go, essentially.
Well, that's what the portal is. That's what the portal is.
That, I guess that
Yeah.
that makes a little bit more sense.
That's a stream. I mean, the problem with that is like even me, I have had a lot of issues with it. I've now messed with it probably 10 times, and I tried out God of War, then some like really low level games. I've got really good internet, fiber internet, right next to my PS5, and still having massive issues with it. And there's been, I want to say 4 patches for it so far, and there's more to come, which is kind of disappointing because I was like, this will actually let me get to play the system. The problem for the dedicated systems is, having a child, it makes it hard to be tethered to a console, and that's why if any console gets played, the Switch just by nature gets played the most. Whether I want to play some of those, and that's why I got it. But unfortunately, I've had a lot of issues with it, and the last patch made it slightly better, but it would get so bad that God of War would just completely freeze, just stop. It would look like it was 240p and just stop, like couldn't do anything.
Multi-dollar company.
So it's frustrating. I mean, if I'm right next to my console, I have really good internet and it's still not working. I just, I don't know. Hopefully that gets better, but this is interesting. We'll go ahead and move on to the next one. We got that PETA is talking about Pal World in-game cruelty towards virtual animals. I forget who brought this up in the chat, but this is an interesting one.
I was dying laughing. I wrote it down because I think it's one of the most hilarious statements I've seen in gaming. Like, it just tells you how well they're doing with their game when somebody wants to leech off of them through animal abuse.
Yep.
I just wanted people to know that's been a statement that was said.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, okay, you have Pokemon Company going after them because they obviously took inspiration from their characters.
Yeah.
Fine. That makes sense. You telling somebody that pixels, ones and zeros on a screen that are getting smacked with a wooden club and put into spheres is animal abuse. It just blows my mind. I mean, like,
I'm pretty sure they also mentioned that they would even give you they're working on some diet plan or what you can feed your animals better in the game.
Oh my god! You guys remember that they used to make those flash games where like you would, I forget, but I remember like Pikachu being involved in one, but their website would have these like flash games where it was like Mario. They outraged over Mario jumping on the Goombas because they were too animal like, and the turtles, the Koopa Troopas, like they outraged over that.
How else do you make turtle soup?
I mean, they
turtle
don't
gumbo. Oh, Lay, if you ever
Dude,
get
legit.
a chance to eat turtle gumbo, and this is a southeastern thing in the U.S. Oh my god, it is the best. PETA, if you're watching, you need to try turtle. That shit is delicious.
Yeah, y'all gotta try it. Turtle. No, it really is good. Have you guys had alligator? That's popular.
I have gator bites.
No.
Yeah, gator bites are
so
legit.
good.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. I
If
love
I'm gonna
them.
eat alligator, I have to know it was wrestled by some Florida man first, and it needs to be authentically caught.
No. You're never gonna.
This was wrestled to death.
Because Florida man has the alligator as the pet. So yeah, that's not gonna
Oh,
happen.
they're swamp puppies. My bad.
Yeah.
Oh, puppies.
They take them to the store and shit. I gotta find a picture.
It's crazy.
For you guys. There's a guy holding a baby gator, like right here over his shoulder, literally like a human baby, and he's going to the store with him. It's just, for people that are not from the U.S., Florida man is just the embodiment of America in the worst way possible.
Hey, he's been immortalized in Grand Theft Auto 6 too.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yep. I forgot about that. Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Come on, like PETA, shut up, get out of here, get out. I'm
I
gonna.
read that too.
I like my Slim Jims. I like my hamburgers. I don't care. I'm sorry.
If it ain't bleeding, I don't want it, brother.
We need to bring Liver King on here to discuss this one, man. See what he has to say.
I need to make sure that my lipstick was tested on a pig first.
Oh my god, did you guys see? Now this reminded me. There's like a whole TikTok series where it's like made like an anime, and they're preparing like chopping up Pokemon and like cooking.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I did
So
see that.
now
I have not seen that.
Now that it's such a cool like concept.
It's on TikTok.
But that's where I saw it, but
Okay.
I'm sure you can find it on YouTube or whatever. You should watch it. It's hilarious.
I gotta check
There's like
it out.
Charizard, Bulbasaur. Like he takes the Bulbasaur, he cuts off the little head, the little flower head on top, and then he starts like chopping him up. But they made one for Power World. That's why I'm mentioning this. And it like people were pissed in the comments, and I was just laughing. I was like, "You people get way too bent out of shape over ones and zeros on the screen." Like,
yeah, that's. I've always thought it was stupid. I think for them, this is just like a way to keep their name relevant every time this happens.
100%.
They just want to keep the name relevant. Like people, if this hadn't been brought up, when's the last time somebody heard about PETA or cared? I mean, the last time.
Business.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's just stupid. That one's dumb. We got the Mortal Kombat movie 2, or Mortal Kombat 2 movie is almost done. Lee, do you have any insight on this?
Just that it's wrapped up. I saw it was Carl Urban. He posted saying it's all wrapped up now. And it's just now it's just post production. I don't think there's actually a release date for it.
Not that I've seen myself.
Wait, I thought I saw 2025, early 2025. No,
probably a good guess.
Well,
maybe I was reading a different article, but I'm pretty sure. Oh, I didn't put anything in the notes.
Yeah, our notes has a double link for Bloodborne Cart, which we're going to talk about next. So we can look. I mean, I can look it up real quick. But I mean, are you guys excited about the movie?
Only if it's like the original Mortal Kombat movie. I need it to be super cheesy to enjoy it.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. I
completely butcher the source material at the process.
I didn't like Annihilation, but no release date. Okay. Well, yeah, Mortal Kombat's hit or miss, right? Because it's had a live action series that nobody talks about. And I really enjoyed it. It was just called Mortal Kombat, and I maybe like 2012 it came out. And then we had the obviously the new Mortal Kombat movie. But there was like 3 other ones plus the animated movies, which I guess that's like a different thing. But I mean, there's been a lot of iterations of Mortal Kombat over the years and in cinema, and it's
and the movie that came out wasn't bad either.
No, I liked it.
It arguably gave us the best theme song music of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's amazing. Regardless of what you say of that original movie, it has the best theme song.
Mark, I'm surprised that you like it or have any interest whatsoever hating fighting games.
It's cheesy. I don't like fighting games because I'm terrible at them.
So am I, but I still enjoy them. I'm certainly not good, but
I also watched that movie long before I ever played a Mortal Kombat game, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. But we've also got Bloodborne Cart, which this one I actually don't know anything about. I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know this was a thing. So
I mean, in short, there was this girl that was developing a game, basically like old school Super Mario, Crash Bandicoot, card game, and it was all done in the design and the style of Bloodborne. And basically, like, she got some traction, some supporters, and then Sony reached out and basically cease and desist. And she's like, "Don't worry, I'm just gonna wipe off the Bloodborne branding. They can't do anything after that." So, I just thought that people should hear about it because it's a cool concept, and it's gonna be interesting to see when it comes out, because not a lot of, like, you see, there's a lot of these like demakes that they make, like videos of, like, they take modern titles, they make a demake out of it. But I thought it was interesting, and I think it looks really cool. I think people will enjoy it, so I put it on there, just so people can look it up and maybe support the creator when the game comes out.
Yeah, heck yeah, that's cool stuff. I'm all for it. We've also got Nintendo. This one I was kind of not shocked, but also like ecstatic for. Nintendo files trademarks for the GameCube controller. Whoa, what do you guys think about that? I got my
I like
opinions.
winners. What?
Didn't they
Okay.
already own the trademark?
I'm so confused. No, they filed a new trademark for the controller, meaning like a new like a new patent for the controller, like as if they're going to re-release the controller, meaning that it might be coming to Switch Online, as what my assumption is, and they're going to release it like the other ones.
I thought we already had a controller for the Switch for the GameCube. Or am I like mistaken on that?
No, we only have up the N64 on there. Like GameCube was kind of out of the equation.
Then. If that's the case, then yeah, it makes sense.
I mean, I hope that's the case. Like people would go nuts for that. GameCube? Come on. I'll buy a new GameCube controller all day.
Arguably, it's one of the best controllers of all time.
Yeah, it's a great controller and a great library of games.
It's just really ergonomical in your hands. Obviously, it's got its own flaws because it's the one joystick, but
well, you got the C stick. You got that.
It doesn't really do anything.
It works. I mean, Metroid Prime. I wouldn't.
You had the lock, so you use the left to move, and you use the other. You use your the shoulders to lock and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I might be misremembering. But anyway, I think that's cool. If it came to Switch Online, I think that would be a big deal and bring a lot more people to Switch Online. And you know what? Finally, because early on we couldn't say that it was like a great service, but it's like the cheapest. It's like nothing, for a year pass of Nintendo Switch Online. It's like it's cheap, and
$20 or something.
Yeah. But of course it should be because like they didn't offer much in the beginning, but they finally built up a little catalog of games there, and like adding in GBA, and they just had the launch of the Golden Sun games. We're getting like it seems like launches of games every other week at this point. So I'm all for it.
And my comment went over everybody's head because there is another controller we wanted to talk about.
Okay, let's talk about the Wiener controller. Yeah, I remember now. I remember now. Okay.
I love how everybody was so confused.
Before we get into that, I'll just say real quick before I begin, unfortunately, boys, I'm going to have to head up. I got to pick up a few things for tonight. But this has been a pleasure as always, and I can't wait for next week as well.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Looking forward to it.
Have
See
fun
you, boys.
tonight.
See you, everyone.
Congrats.
I will. Thank you. You're going to need it. I got to do a speech.
Good luck, man.
Well, you got some practice, and so you're good.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Thanks,
all right,
boys.
Yep, have a good night, man.
Have a great night, man.
Peace out.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll go ahead and talk about the Wiener controller there, and yeah.
Essentially, Oscar Mayer, which is a great exporter of the dogs, basically announced that there's going to be a Wiener controller, and it looks beautiful. It's cute. It's average size. Nobody say anything about it.
Oh, thank God.
What? Okay, hold on. There were other brands too. What are the other brands? There wasn't just that one. We're getting like hold on. I don't want to pause for audio listeners, but there was a bunch of really interesting, weird collaborations for controllers that were all like food based.
Hyperkin also announced the Switch controller case themed around Oscar Mayer. Hyperkin, and I think that's it.
No, there were. I saw more for sure. I see what you're talking about. Yeah, there was more. There were other brands. Yeah, right here. Oscar Mayer, Kool-Aid, Sriracha. I'm looking at the Kraft mac and cheese.
Oh,
and Heinz ketchup. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I see it.
Like come on, man. I gotta buy one of those, even if it's just to do a stream or something with a mac and cheese controller. Like, and those Hyperkin controllers. I have the Mega Man variant of this. This is an upgraded version since that one. But they were called like the X9. And this one is apparently a better, newer one. But they're legitimately good controllers. These ones are. Yeah, they remind me of Super Nintendo with joysticks, essentially. So, and Super Nintendo was a super comfortable controller. But we also got just a couple more things, I believe. Another big one. Unfortunately, it seems like every single podcast we've had this, but we also had more layoffs with Embracer Group. They laid off 97 people from the Eidos division. Cancels the third installment of Adam Jensen's story after 2 years of development, according to Bloomberg's article. So 97 people from Eidos, which was not like a big studio. So that's a significant.
Yeah, they got recently acquired because Embracer Group bought basically the IP of Tomb Raider and Deus Ex from Square Enix. And I cannot tell you how hyped I was. Like, I cannot put it in words. First time I played the Deus Ex games 2 years ago, I played through all 5. People don't even know that there's 5. There are 5. People only talk about the 2, about the new games. You have the Deus Ex, the original title, which came out 1999, 2000.
PC.
And then Deus Ex Invisible War, which came out in 2003, and it was optimized towards Xbox. Everybody shat on it. It's still a good game. I think I see why people didn't like it.
I liked it, but
that
it's not great.
was just insane. And then I played the Abandoned Child, which is Deus Ex The Fall, which was made for mobile. You could play it on PC. It was a disaster. It was canceled after the first chapter. I still had fun with that. And then you have the Human Revolution, which basically is a prequel, which a lot of people don't know. Deus Ex Human Revolution is a prequel to the first game, and then you have the continuation of that prequel, Deus Ex Mankind Divided.
Mankind. I was gonna say that. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, and then there's a cliffhanger. Basically, like they leave it at this. We're definitely making a third game, and like I was so hyped because we didn't hear any news, and then Embracer bought the rights to it. Right, and then we almost had like I think it was a leak that there was another like Deus Ex game in the works, and then all of a sudden, like, I mean, it's not all of a sudden, like it's been happening across the industry completely, but I'm just so sad that this is a thing. Like, I was looking forward to it. I really hope that they just stopped the development and that they didn't outright cancel it, but might be wishful.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it sucks. It's such a if anybody gets a chance or has time, just play through them. They're so good.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, just as a whole, because I didn't even know what Embracer Group was. I didn't know I don't know if they were Nordic Games at one point or they just owned them.
I think they were always like one of those bigger players that didn't necessarily directly, orchestrate like development and stuff. They were just a big.
Because I didn't realize they owned Gearbox as well.
Do they? I didn't know that either. Okay.
I was trying to figure out when that happened.
Who else do they own that's of significance?
Or at least the big names. It's THQ Nordic.
Embracer owns THQ.
Whoever PlayOn is, they own Deep Silver.
I'm a fan of Deep Silver games.
Coffee Stain, Amplify. Well, these are like studios that then own other studios.
Yeah, that's how it always works, right?
What's America? Dark Horse Media, CDE Entertainment. Like, I didn't realize they were this big of a company. Whatever Deca Games is. Yeah. Saber Interactive.
Dang.
For sure.
That's wild. I didn't know all that.
Brandon, real quick, are you guys gonna talk about the other stuff? Or
I mean, I wanted to mention, a few other things with the Xbox and all that stuff. Do you gotta hop out?
Yeah, I gotta head out. But okay. I'm sure you guys are gonna have fun with that. Sorry guys, my baby's been screaming for a little while now.
You know what? All our audio listeners are going to be very angry at your baby. Just kidding. Just
yeah,
kidding.
you can blame him. I will put his email in the comments down below. So if you have any complaints, please reach out to the PR department. But thank you all. I will see you next week, same time, and you guys have fun.
All right. See you later, man. Have a good
Peace, guys.
one. Yeah, so I'm looking in the chat, Mark. We've got Mark, I want to hear your thoughts on Embrace in the Xbox acquisitions. I've missed Mark on here a lot. Cyber Lariat says, I've missed Mark too. Good guy. Catching Daisy says, love Mark. Mark fans, rise up. Dang, you got a whole fan club in the comments there, man. Good for you.
When you leave for like almost 10 months.
Yes, Cyber, you know what? He stuck around. He was watching all your Tales streams. I don't know if you remember that, but yeah, he followed you along there with those streams.
Yeah, some of them, like, I don't know if you changed names, but I saw Cyberlink for sure. I'm like, that name definitely sounds familiar, but it had been a while. If I missed some of the other people,
he is the one that was asking about you like 2 weeks ago before you came back on the podcast. So he's the one I was telling you about. So good guy. And then Kurgle said, sorry guys, see you all next Friday. Oh, Trails, not Tails. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Trails, yeah.
That's where it makes sense.
I was thinking of me playing the last Tails game. Okay, yeah, Trails. So, yeah, it's a fun game, man. Have you ever gotten back to that, by the way?
I haven't played it since the last stream.
Gotcha.
I don't know if I'm ever gonna even get back to that point, but I was like, on the off chance I ever do get back to streaming, I intentionally haven't touched the game since. But I do plan on beating it. I just don't know when that's gonna be.
Yeah, well, we'll look forward to that time coming around. We've also got the Xbox. Microsoft usually refreshes its console hardware mid-cycle, but we know a bit more about the next Xbox than usual. Codenamed Brooklyn as in Brooklin for some reason. The next,
odds?
Yeah, what are the odds? The next Xbox Series One or Series X. I said one. Their naming schemes are terrible. I hate their naming schemes.
PlayStation's the only company with a naming scheme that makes sense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, I mean Nintendo did it for a bit. Yeah, that Super Nintendo I feel like was if they do like Super Switch, like I'll be excited because like it makes sense again. But like Wii to Wii U,
different.
Yeah, they probably will. I mean, Wii U screwed them over, right? Like the name, like a parent going in to buy, they're going to think, oh, this is a tablet for the Wii. They don't think it's a new console. So, but anyway, on this, it says the next Xbox Series X is expected to launch late October, early November of this year. Pricing is expected to be $499, which is the price now, which aligns with the current Xbox Series X, but notably, Brooklyn should have double the storage, bringing it to 2 terabytes of built-in storage, but you lose the disk drive, so...
And you say that because I was at a Best Buy like a week ago, and I saw them selling just a bunch of disk drives. I'm just like, just buy it with the disk drive at that point. Obviously, they want to go away from it, and I don't agree with why they're doing it, but I kind of get it. But like, if you're going to go full digital, even that, like, you need to massively up the storage. Like, I think 2 terabytes is too low.
Way too low.
Only.
If you play Warzone, like millions and millions of people, that takes up half a terabyte. I've had it on my consoles, both of them. It takes up so much space. And just like, and then even like Fortnite. Fortnite's a relatively big game. Not as big as Warzone, but like things like that, things that a lot of people play are, huge games.
When I played Elder Scrolls Online on console on my PlayStation, that's pretty much you need 100 gigabytes of free space for that game.
Yeah,
it doesn't always take up the full, but for the updates and everything else, the game partitions essentially 100 gigabytes. But games get pretty big, even at 50 gigabytes. That adds up relatively quickly.
Yeah, I mean, if
it's significantly cheaper with hardware now and the SSDs, I don't see why eventually, you should be getting closer to 5 or 10 terabyte, or at least an option to have 10 terabytes.
Well, the
installed.
PS5 already, what I think one of their updates is now supporting 6 terabytes. I want to say. So they're supporting a significant amount. Xbox is different in the fact that they have the proprietary ones. You don't have a Series X, right? I can't remember.
No, I don't. I don't have a need to buy an Xbox. I can play other games on PC. So
Okay.
there's no real point to get it.
So their SSD is a proprietary like plug and play that you plug out of the back of the console. So it's like literally essentially like a memory card. That's what they look like. So they're proprietary. Now there is now officially one other company that's making them finally, but they were making them under one company. So they had them like, under lockdown, and it took a long time. The prices are still more expensive than just getting a regular M.2 SSD that you can get for the PS5. Like they've dropped. Like they're much cheaper than they were in 2020 when I upgraded and got a 1 terabyte for the PS5 because that's all it supported. 1 terabyte SSD. It was like $170. It was like $169.99, and it was the PlayStation not branded, but like they supported it, like it had PlayStation branding on it.
Yeah.
So it was like I forget what brand, whatever.
That's
but
such a ripoff when I can get normal SSD for my PC at that price. I could get like 5 terabytes realistically.
Yeah, I mean at this point, like they've dropped significantly. So in the Xbox, proprietary SSDs are still up there in price. So to me, this is not a trade-off that I think is, if you have a Series X already, to me, unless we find out more information in it that does have beefier hardware, which I'm semi-doubtful on if this is going to be their new flagship console. I don't know, because we're looking at the PS5 Pro, like that's been talked about as if we're getting it this year, and that might be, what February they might announce that. They might mention it. And I can see it coming. We're nearing 4 years in at this point, so it makes sense. We're at that point. So a refresh of this to just remove the disk drive and add 1 terabyte, to me, does not really make sense unless it's just to be a slim. I mean, the Series X is like a stand-up console to me. Like looking at the image that we have, it doesn't look any smaller unless we just can't tell the size. But other than it being circular, not square, like I'm comparing them now, what's the upgrade?
There is none.
Because the Series X is backwards compatible with every Xbox.
Yeah, unless you're buying a new console, this is like the first time, that might be worth it. But without the disc drive, that backwards compatibility doesn't exist. Essentially,
that's the thing. They were the ones doing all that the best, because like this can play original Xbox discs. Like for God's sakes, like why would you want to swap it out? I mean, for you, like you said you can play all your stuff on PC. That would be the prime reason if you were interested to own the console, is because of the backwards compatibility. Like play your favorite 360 games, and they're all upgraded. Every one of those that are supported for their, because they had a whole program. It was literally called the backwards compatibility program. Every single one of those is upgraded in some way, whether it's frame rate, performance, or visuals, whatever. Those original Xbox games, I played some. There's a game called Advent Rising. I played it. I looked at the images of like the base game. Huge upgrade, like significantly ran better and looked better. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like that is my favorite reason to own that. It is the backwards compatibility. I want to be able to go back and play my favorite 360 games. I like that. This to me, losing the disk drive and adding 1 terabyte. If that's all that this is, and it's literally a console refresh, we always get like we got the PS4 Slim, we got the PS3 Slim and Super Slim. So like it's not unheard of to get, a new refresh console that's not really upgraded. But this one's weird to me. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me personally.
Unless they're gonna do what Sony's doing. Here's a disk drive, non-disk drive, but we're just gonna resell you the disk drive for the price of that difference.
The problem is that the things that Phil Spencer has said, being beautifully all digital. I mean, that right there saying all digital. to me, this image does not show a spot for a disk drive attachment. So I am very doubtful that they are doing that whatsoever.
No, they're probably going away from it. But unless, there's a significant backlash and there's a sales drop, they're just going to go this way because it's just easier for them to control prices. Secondhand market doesn't exist anymore, so they can just eat. It's all about, maximizing profits.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with what the customers want. Because you have the option for both, and the customer chooses digital. That's one thing. But to force people to go down this path, the only way to essentially say no to this is just be like, I'm not buying these new consoles if you're gonna go full digital. Like, I'll just opt out. But I don't think enough people are gonna opt out on something like that for it to really make a difference.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the truth of the matter is, we know that I can't remember the actual number, but it is up there. It's like 85% of gamers are all digital now, so like they just don't care. I'll look up the actual number while we're talking, but like for most people, this is not going to be a concern, and I think that's why they had announced in maybe the beginning of 2023 that they stopped the backwards compatibility program. They said, here's 170 more games that are supported. We're done. We're stopping the program, probably because they knew they were doing this. My thought is that they really don't care about the console market, and they are all about Game Pass because it is available in so many places. And I mean, it's available on TVs, like built into TVs. Samsung TVs now, smart TVs, have Game Pass on them. There's another brand of TVs that also have Game Pass. Your phone can play Game Pass. Your Steam Deck can play Game Pass. Rogue Ally, everything can play Game Pass. And that's what they're pushing. I mean, Xbox Live Gold doesn't exist anymore, so they don't give the free games every month anymore. They stopped that. So this has got to be a sign, right? Like that, hey, we're putting out this console that's all digital, and I feel like after this generation, I think that Xbox moves away from the console and potentially offers like a streaming device, but doesn't care about the console market. We hear the rumors of Game Pass coming to the Switch too. We've heard it for a while coming to the original Switch. I bet if Nintendo agreed to that immediately, they would do it. That's a whole new market.
Well, because essentially that the Xbox market doesn't exist anymore at that point, and it just gets absorbed by the other two consoles more or less. So if they're gonna go that route, and I was Nintendo, I'd be like, oh, absolutely. I can triple my console sales or double my sales significantly.
Yeah,
like that seems like a win-win for Nintendo. They'll just add it on to their subscription price and then rake in the money.
Well, it's a win-win for both, right? Because they lose money on the Series X. They may be making it cheaper now, but I mean, just about every console in history, like the companies lose money on the console and they make money on the software sales. Like the PS5, they lose a lot of money. Like they don't make any money.
After like 20 to 30 years, you have the feeling that Microsoft's going to go the Sega route and just bow out of the console race and just go software.
I think they're just going to go Game Pass. I think they just want to be a subscription service. And I will tell you, for me, if it were not for the backwards compatibility, I own 2 physical Series X games, and the reason for that is because if you look at the cover, if it says smart delivery on it, that means that the game is not on the disc, and that is like 70% of Xbox Series X discs. So I own 2 because those are the only 2 that I've found and gotten that are actually on the disc.
Yeah.
So they're keys essentially. And like that's another like telltale sign that like, hey, we don't really care about physical. Like it's just not,
I guess, because obviously there's a lot of speculation, but if Microsoft just bows out of the console race, does that open, obviously now it's a two-man race at that point. Does somebody else decide to fill in and be like, take a shot at a console? Because if Microsoft in 10 years just goes full software, there's a huge void there that somebody might try to fill. Obviously, that market's going to primarily go to Switch, and probably more than likely go to Sony as far as the console market is. But that
Yeah.
would open an opportunity for somebody else if they wanted to take a shot at being a console producer.
Yeah, I mean, I think, here's the difference, I think, with Sega to Xbox when you make that comparison. Well, what's funny is that the original Xbox is essentially the Dreamcast 2. All the games that were being developed for the Dreamcast got moved over, and they made a partnership with Xbox during that time. So, and Xbox uses, I forget the original Xbox, I forget what hardware or whatever that was within the Dreamcast. Anyway, like the thought is that the Xbox is the Dreamcast too. So that makes sense. And I think that the difference with Sega versus Xbox in the console race is that there's still Game Pass. If it's on the other machines and they're creating their games, they bought all these studios. They're not doing away with releasing games anytime soon. They just spent billions of dollars on studios. I mean, during COVID, they acquired how many studios? Like
all I'm saying is, if you're going the route, if you eventually want to go the software route, you're not gonna care where it goes. You're just gonna offer it everywhere because it makes the most sense.
Yep.
So if in theory, and I have no idea what's gonna happen. Microsoft might still just stay in the console race with just a digital only, console. But I mean, in theory, somebody could try to like make a deal. Like, I don't know, maybe Nvidia wants to get into the console market. Who knows?
Well,
obviously,
I mean,
that's probably not going to happen. It's just pulling stuff out of my ass. But just somebody potentially might be like, well, let's take a shot, see what happens.
well, you know who's really competing with these consoles right now? All the handhelds. Handhelds have made a massive resurgence. I mean, Steam Deck.
To be fair, it's really only two companies: Nintendo, which has done it for forever, and they're never going to lose that. And then you've got the Steam Deck, primarily just because you have access to that Steam library and to Steam sales in that PC market.
But it's not just them. The Rogue Ally is outselling the Steam Deck. And then you've got the new handheld coming out that's supposed to be better than the Rogue Ally by what PC manufacturer? They produce some kind of card. I can't remember what it's called, but there's a new handheld we talked about the week before you joined. That's going to be coming out, and it's
the Asus ROG Ally. Is that what you're thinking of?
No, that's the one I'm talking about now. That's the one that's outselling the Steam Deck. So that's
the one I just searched, and I was like, oh, Asus. Yeah, I know them from PC parts.
But Rogue Ally, like raving reviews. I know a bunch of people that have a Rogue Ally and absolutely love it. And
it's expensive.
So is the Steam Deck. But yeah, the Rogue Ally is more expensive. But it's also
significantly more expensive.
Significantly more powerful than the Steam Deck as well. But I guess it's outselling the Steam Deck even at that price point.
For now, but I mean, like, how many competitors have come and gone, and they might see initial success, but then it just kind of dies off with a whimper. As far as I'm concerned, Nintendo will forever be the king of handheld, just because they have such a long-term investment in that market, and they've got the games that will only ever be in that market that most people want them for.
100%. Yeah,
it's a good supplemental for some of these companies. At the very least, it's less expensive than a full console to at least dabble and see if you can't make it, profitable for you.
Oh, here's what I think. The MSI Claw, if you want to look that up, that is the new one that is going to be the competitor to the Steam Deck, Switch, and Rogue Ally. So this one's supposed to be slightly more powerful than the Rogue Ally, but we also know that we are going to be getting a Rogue Ally 2 at some point. But the MSI Claw looks amazing. Just the form factor alone, I think, looks really, really cool. And I am genuinely excited about handhelds making such a look. Let me put it this way: a lot of people that I follow or talk to or other content creators, a lot of them are playing all their games on these handhelds because they're powerful. They can play in bed. They can play wherever they want, right? They can play PC level games wherever they want, and they're really like pushing the limits to, you know, competing with PCs and competing with consoles. And the Steam Deck, as you know, has a dock, so you can play it like a console. I think the Asus has a dock too. I don't know that one for sure, but I know the MSI Claw is going to have a dock too. So it's a hybrid, just like the Switch.
Yeah, I'll say this because it's one made by MSI, one's made by Asus, right? If I'm not mispronouncing it. The one thing that makes sense, these are hardware. These are companies that only produce hardware.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense where it's like, oh, we already make this hardware. We can just tweak it.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost us any extra money compared to someone like Microsoft who has to. They don't make this hardware. They have to buy it all. So I guess it kind of makes sense, these companies that like, well, we already make something similar. We can tweak it.
Yeah.
It minimizes the cost because we're already producing all this already.
Yeah.
And then it's essentially, it's just an extension of the PC market because that's what we're already invested in.
That's exactly what it is.
That's once we brought these two hands up, I'm like, all right, this makes a lot of sense that it's these hardware companies that are branching out. And maybe they'll eventually replace Sony eventually. Who knows?
Look, I think that is one of the reasons that this rumor with a dedicated PlayStation handheld is coming up. They spot the resurgence of these handhelds. Like, these are massively popular. I mean, I'm telling you, I see them everywhere within content. Like, they are very popular. People love these handhelds. And like the Asus ROG Ally, I hear nothing about the Steam Deck anymore. If it weren't for the Steam Deck OLED coming out, I wouldn't even hear the name anymore. I just don't hear it. I don't hear about it. You've got the...
You know what this...
Go ahead.
What were you going to say? No, I was going to say this feels like we're getting to a point where the idea of a console's dead, and it's just people that make games and then hardware that you then play whatever game you want on.
Yeah.
Because it's everything's just bleeding into the PC market, and the PC market's just extending by either streaming or handhelds. And that's kind of where the market's going outside of Nintendo, because God knows they're never going to let that go.
Right, and then here's the other thing too. I mean, like, it's not even just those. Like, we've got. I'm looking some stuff up. Like, we know that a Steam Deck 2 is coming. Like, officially, we know a ROG Ally 2 is coming. These are selling so well that obviously they're getting successors pretty quickly. But also, there isn't just these companies. Weirdly, there are companies that are selling like they're not just like straight up devices that have a bunch of games on them. They are like essentially smaller PCs at a cheaper price point. So the AO Neo is a big company in that lane where it can play, you know, like games up to like PS2 or whatever. And they're selling very, very, very well. Like, here's a new one from AO Neo. It's called the AO Neo Pocket DMG. And they said announcing a new handheld almost every week, this company. At least it feels that way. The latest tease from the company regarding the Remake initiative, which will conclude the AO Neo's updated take on the Nintendo Game Boy called the Pocket DMG. But obviously, this is a system that can, you know, play all these other games, and they're getting up to the point where they can get past like PS2. Like, they're getting very close to being able to play like PS3 games. And I don't want to disregard all these other handhelds. Like, there's a bunch of them. The AO Neo Flip was just announced. It's like a DS. If you look it up right now, it looks there's two versions. There's one that looks like a DS with two screens, and then there's a version that's literally a pocket PC with a keyboard and two joysticks. Like, literally a pocket PC. And like these are meant to be the size of portables to actually put in your pocket and take with you. So It's interesting. Like, we're getting a handheld that looks like the DS that will be able to play DS and 3DS games. So, like, we are at a handheld resurgence. I mean, that's not even all. AO Neo Slide, the AO Neo Next 2, AO Neo Next Lite, the Orange Pi, Pocket Man P1. So, I mean, like, you know, and these aren't on the level of like the Steam Deck or the MSI Claw, but The Steam Deck OLED looks pretty cool, so that's kind of a cool refresh. OLED screens are a bigger upgrade than people give them credit for, like the Switch OLED. The difference between the Switch OLED and the original Switch, you can't go back. Like it looks really good in handheld mode.
It's just a nicer screen, really, all it is. But it's not worth the money to upgrade.
But it's not significantly more money. I think it's worth it, in my opinion. Well,
if
maybe
you're Switch,
if you already,
I don't think it's worth the money.
I upgraded, but I sold my Switch at a price point that was pretty close to retail, so I found it worth doing, and I wanted to be able to have access to. It's got a built-in Ethernet adapter, so you don't have to buy the piece. It's got a redesigned dock, so it doesn't have that terrible back to it. It's got a redesigned kickstand, so you got a full stand instead of the. There were some other features to it too, but
I also primarily play mine docked, so there's literally no point unless there's significant hardware upgrades to buy the new one.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I can.
At this point, might as well wait the next year or two when we're gonna get the next Switch or whatever we get from Nintendo, next console from them. So
yeah,
it's worth just waiting, at least for me.
Yep, that makes sense. I mean, I get it. I totally get it. It's a handheld resurgence time. We also got A&D announces that you no longer need GPU to play video games. The Ryzen 8000G series is going to make PC gaming affordable again. So
I wouldn't say it got that unaffordable. Obviously, you had to shop around, and you weren't going to get the top of the line stuff. But this doesn't surprise me especially when you deal with handheld gaming. Obviously, it all between phones and handheld, that stuff has to be integrated together because you don't have the space for it.
Yeah.
But as far as just low level, affordable, something that entry level, that makes sense. But it's never gonna match what you can do with a dedicated GPU. I mean, those things are massive as is. But if you're just trying to make it affordable to get more people into the market, yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
GPUs get expensive.
They do.
When I bought my 30 series about 2 months ago, I spent like $500 on it or something like that, or between $400 to $500, and that's not even top of the line GPU.
So what kind of GPU did you get? Tell us your full upgrade on your what all did.
This way I don't screw anything.
Yeah,
up.
No worries.
I built a whole new one from scratch.
Because we got PC listeners that definitely are interested in hearing about that. And
something that I could afford that could play everything, because I was looking to the point where it's like I'm barely hitting minimum specs on all my games with especially with that 1070 Ti and stuff like that. I'll pull it up faster on my phone.
Yeah, no worries. Yep. I mean it definitely makes sense. I'm all for making it more affordable because I need to get a desktop badly. Not even just for gaming, just in general for what we do in this podcast. But yeah, I mean, I'm all for whatever makes it more affordable. And I need to jump in. For me, I need to jump in at a sort of higher tier than most. I'm not, when you're 4K editing and rendering video, it takes a lot more than gaming at some point. So
as far as not some of the other accessories I bought, but I spent about $1,500 on this. So I got the i7 147K. It's one of the newer. It's not the best CPU, but it's a 14th gen one. So it's one of the newer ones that just came out. But it's 20 core. It's not too bad. My motherboard's a Gigabyte Z790.
Nice.
I mean, I couldn't go into depth about what a motherboard does specifically, but it does what I need to do. My actual GPU is the Gigabyte RTX 47. No, I got a 4070. I thought I got the 30 series, but no, I guess I got a 40 series. I think I was originally shopping for a 30 series, but I guess the extra price for the 4070 wasn't that bad. So it's a 4070, 12 gigabytes. I spent about $550 on it pre-tax. But I mean, it's still not. I know what happened. I was talking with somebody else, and I was like, technically the 3090 is still more powerful than the 4070, even though it's generation old. But that's
how explain that.
I'd have to pull it up off the top of my head. I don't remember exactly what the difference.
It just seems weird that an older generation would be more powerful. Is it?
I gotta pull it up. I just can't remember off the top of my head. It has something to do with the hardware and what it can do.
Gotcha. I wish I knew. I'm going to be diving into that's one of my goals this year is the PC realm, so I can speak on it, and then obviously I need to have
it
a
has
desktop.
to do something with something with clocking and memory
overclocking and all that jazz.
Overclocking's I think is not worth it really. Unless you really want that extra little oomph it's gonna give you.
I do know a lot of people that overclock their stuff.
When it comes to hardware, I know the base. The problem with overclocking is, first of all, you got to know what you're doing when you're overclocking, and second of all, you do shorten the lifespan of the hardware when you overclock. Like, it's not gonna last as long as you can make it. But if you've got money,
I've heard that
here, and you can afford to overclock it, you're gonna be able to upgrade a few years earlier, anyways. Where I'm gonna get as much as I can out of my hardware.
I gotcha. Yeah, essentially you're burning up your hardware when you're overclocking. You're gonna
So I love the fact that RAM's gotten cheaper. I spent $100 on 32 gigs of RAM, essentially 216 sticks, which was I'm going from 16 to 32. That was a boost, and that's really the big thing. I ended up getting a fractal actual tower just because I wanted something that was a little bit quieter.
Yeah,
and they're really the fractal brand is apparently really good as far as airflow, because obviously that's what matters most with PC. Airflow, you got good airflow as far as the actual tower is. Your fans are going to spin not as fast, and obviously it's just going to be quieter all the way around.
That makes sense.
I think the between the 3070 and the 4070, there was a negligible. It's like $50 to $100 more. So it was like I get a little bit more out of it, but
yeah,
I'd have to. I know technically the 3090 outperforms the 4070. Obviously the 4090 is better, but it'd take me a second to actually go in and figure out exactly why. When I bought it, I probably could have told you, but I only really go deep into hardware when I'm upgrading. So I just
that's fair. That's fair. That makes sense.
It's kind of like, I don't think nebulous is the right word that I'm thinking of, but it's not. I'm not a PC repair guy, so it's like this is knowledge I don't need to just know constantly off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's fair. That makes sense.
I mean, I got a decent good setup. I can play modern games at like maybe not at ultra, the top settings, but at a high setting. And it really cost me about $15. You just have to shop around, make sure your stuff fits, try to find those sales where you can.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. And
I'll say this, PC can get more expensive, but you can make it last almost as long as a console cycle, as long as you don't have any issues with your hardware and stuff like that.
How long did you have your previous PC?
I built my previous one in I think it was early 2018. I built mine right before the 20 series graphics cards came out. So the 1070 was, as good as I could get pretty much on an affordable level. I know at the time.
Did you see the I think it was, I don't know if it's AMD, whoever put out the graphics cards, the Super Series that's coming out for the 40, 4080, 4090, 4070. They're all getting a Super Series.
I heard. I didn't look into it. Obviously, I just built it, so I'm going to be upgrading for at least 5 years at this point. But I think I heard something about it, but I was like, I don't really care. I just upgraded my stuff, so it's kind of irrelevant right now. But I heard something about that.
I think it's interesting because obviously the next line of graphics cards are going to be launching soon. So they're launching those before the new ones. It's like,
but you get new series almost every year. There's a new upgrade. Like the hardware upgrades so fast. It's like, we just got the 40 series. Now we're gonna get the next upgrade next year, and then probably the 50 series probably the following year. Or however the cycle is. That stuff is always constantly upgrading.
Cyber Lariat said, I have an old 3070 that still runs a lot of current games at highest graphics. So 3070 isn't that old, right?
No,
I mean, that's like only 4 or 5 years.
It's only a generation back from the 40 series, which a lot of that stuff just came out. So, I mean, I almost got it, but I was like, the 4070, it's not that much more expensive when I bought it around Black Friday. So I was like, I'll just upgrade a little bit more. But I mean, sometimes the CPU is just as important, if not more, in some areas. because obviously your GPU, most games are GPU intensive, but they can get CPU intensive depending on what you're doing. So obviously you need to make sure, you're not bottlenecking anywhere if you can kind of like afford it. But we're going deeper into what my actual knowledge is.
Right.
Obviously,
no, I get it.
I built this new PC, and then my CPU actually was dying on me, brand new.
Oh god.
And I eventually paid the $70 to take it to a shop because like, there's nothing more that I could like. I don't know what's wrong with it. Like, obviously, I wasn't thinking it was an actual hardware issue, or I was hoping it wasn't. But I was like, if this is a hardware issue, I need somebody to actually tell me what's wrong with it. That way, if I need to replace a part, and luckily I was able to send it back and get a new replacement, no extra cost. But I was
that's good. That's good. I mean, yeah.
If it had waited another month or two to die, I'm out $400 or $500 and have to buy a new CPU. That would have been terrible.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, before we move on to the next the news, do we have any comments? I don't have it pulled up at the moment. Let's gonna pull up the other news that we had.
Just going all over the place on this. Here's a small little sentence about something happens, and then it becomes like a 10-minute conversation on something else.
Oh yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Ed, I did want to shout out Edwin's Video Games is in here. Give him a subscribe.
Hey,
he is in the upcoming collab for the channel here soon. We've got a nice collab coming out with 7 or 8 people, so appreciate that. And he said, love the Sonic poster in the background. Cyber said that type of PC will definitely run the earliest Trails games.
Yeah, my old PC could run them just fine, and that was like 8 years old at this point, or 6, somewhere in that.
Were you playing on PC? Trails, when you were playing it, were you playing on PC?
Yeah, because I had to get it on Steam. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think they're all available on console, or you have to get an old one. But no, yeah, it's.
I don't remember which one you were
my
playing.
Old PC, there wasn't necessarily anything wrong with it. It's just I couldn't play newer games on it. It probably would still run for several years on older games, but I was hitting a point where it's like you just can't play any games coming out
that's fair.
2024 and onward, pretty much.
That's fair. And then we've also got Edwin said, you're welcome. Escalated said, Mark, are you a console or retro gamer? Long pause
Probably
here.
more console than retro. There's a handful of older games that I like, but I primarily play newer games.
Do you play any retro? I know you still got some retro games and stuff in your collection.
I consider the Trails retro. I mean, they're probably pushing 20 years old. Some of the older ones at this point.
No, you got other stuff. You have Pokemon games and stuff.
Most of the older games that I play are games that I played growing up, so there's like nostalgia to that. But there's a lot. Most old retro games, I really don't have an interest in playing. To be fair,
that's fair. I mean, whatever you know.
I grew up with like 1 or 2 consoles and like 5 games on each.
Yeah.
Until I became pretty much an adult, so that's kind of
fair.
where I'm at with that.
I mean, that's where I was at. I had to swap out all the time. Once I started making my own money early on, I started collecting right at the end of the GBA era because I started mowing lawns and doing stuff like that. Yeah. So I saved up money
for money on a computer repair business.
Yeah. So funny enough, this is kind of related. I stopped at I took video, and it's in my story on Facebook. I took video of where they took down our old elementary school, and it's just wild seeing. I put the video. I said I'm sending this to Mark, and I haven't got to send it to you yet. But I said, right here is where we used to sell the shade. All the trees are still there. The fence is there.
I remember seeing pictures where they were auctioning off some of the playground stuff. I saw some of that. I was like, obviously it was bound to happen. That building needed to be.
It was old. It was old.
But,
yeah.
I mean, there's some good memories there.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said I never liked school, but I made a lot of good memories that will stick with me forever. So that was something interesting. I was on my way back home from an appointment and happened to go that way. I was like, let me stop and get some video real quick. I want to chat about this. But we also got real quick. We got it's old if you're keeping up with all of them. Escalated said, Brandon, what are you collecting now? And ask you guys I think they're saying, are you playing anything right now? Are we playing anything? Collecting wise, honestly, like right now, I'm just sort of with new games, playing new games. I've got access to the EverDrives for retro stuff, so I've made the I'm actually going to make a video on it, but I made the decision to start selling off some stuff to fund it towards PC and upgrading equipment, getting a new mic, getting just everything that I need to get. So that is one thing. As far as collecting, it's just literally finding deals on like Switch and PS5 games from Twitter, because I find games for 10-15 bucks all day long. So like there's deals that get tweeted out, and like legitimately that's pretty much all I get right now. If there's a new game coming out that I really want to play, I'll grab that. But mostly that's it. Haven't gotten anything retro besides the EverDrives here recently. I've got a couple products I'm going to be covering for retro consoles, but yeah, I mean, collecting wise, just, like if I find deals out and about or something, which there's like, it's winter, there's no yard sales, I'll pick stuff up, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. Let's see, there's a bunch of comments. Again, Mark, I'm offering to share my stream library to Mark.
The Tales.
Trails
games.
Trails. Yeah. You said it too. For Trails specifically, maybe Yakuza. Said.
I do have one of like a Dragon games that I bought for PS5. It's still sitting in the wrapper, but I have such a back library. I do want to own and play all the Trails games. It's just gonna take a while. I myself have a long game library that I'm just kind of playing when I got free time.
Yeah, my backlog's ridiculous, and I not even talking retro. Like I've got a legitimate list in my Game Eye app of the next retro games I want to play, and then when you add in new stuff that's coming out that I want to play, and like it's nice to play something new. I really like the relevancy and being able, especially for the podcast now, right? Like I want to be able to talk about stuff. So if there's something I really want, I'm going to grab it so I can talk about it and then potentially do a video on it. But that's kind of like where I'm at. Like, honestly, that's to be able to cover stuff. And if it's something I like, and really want to get, then, I'll grab it. But, yeah, as far as that goes, speaking of which, it looks like somebody's asking about it, and I was actually going to bring it up. The new Yakuza, can you talk about it? So this game is doing...
Is that the one that just came out?
Just came out just came out recently. I have to type in, I forget the full title of it. It's Yakuza... I am sorry, audio listeners. I am Infinite Wealth. Yeah. It says Infinite Wealth sets a Yakuza game in America, which is really interesting to me that they're bringing this franchise.
If it was like more like a Hawaii type thing, or like a coastal, like California, Florida type thing. That's the feel I got with some of the screenshots that I saw, or some of the videos. But I mean, it's at almost 3,000 views on Steam. It's got a very
Hawaii
rating, so
Hawaii. Yeah, no, I've heard nothing negative. Looking at it, is there anything negative that you see? I don't know how Steam reviews work, so
the only thing that I saw negative that people didn't like was apparently New Game Plus is locked behind a paywall for that game.
That's
not
the
only negative thing I've heard from it.
Dang, that's a bummer.
We're gonna change on that, but that's the only negative thing I've heard about it. As far as the game itself, I've heard nothing but positive things about it.
Yeah, it makes me really want to play it, but there's also like some other stuff coming up that I want to play that I know I'm grabbing for sure.
And as far as me, like I always go to Steam reviews because it's a really good gauge on what the actual not what the critic, because their opinion means absolutely nothing to me, but what the actual general audience thinks. It's a very good gauge of whether a game is good or bad.
Well, that's why I like Metacritic, because it pulls in Steam reviews too, and then you get
straight to the source.
Well, I mean, that pulls in
because then I can actually read what people are writing about the game.
But you can on Metacritic as well, and I mean it pulls in all of those. So I mean, I'm not whatever. Like you can look up whatever, but I mean it does pull in Steam reviews for games that are on Steam, and it gauges, for user reviews, you can get both, but it gives you an even better gauge, I feel like, because here's the reason why I would rather check there, because you're missing all the actual, like, this adds in, like, the actual video game news sites. So, like, Go Nintendo that, I work with, like, the small guys, like, it brings in everybody.
This might seem negative or cynical. I don't trust any kind of news review site that's like does reviews as far as the whole game journalist sphere, just because I've been burned a few times. There's been a lot of drama within that community, but I just want to hear from the community itself. That's what I trust that more.
Well, Go Nintendo is not like that. It is as independent as it gets.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'll say this, like, I don't know if Metacritic does it as well, but as far as on top of what I can see what people wrote as far as Steam reviews, I can see how much time they've actually spent on the game. Like, there's one dude wrote a review, but he's got 77 hours in the game. So, like, oh yeah, you've invested a good portion. You've played this game. Like, I can trust that. Or if it's like somebody puts a negative review on there, but they played 0.2 hours, your opinion means very little or to nothing, because you may have played the game, but you didn't actually really play it.
Yeah, I was actually looking here too myself. I mean that's true. I get it. Like,
it's this on some of them it'll say, like, one review, it's got 77.5 hours on record, but 14 hours on time of when they actually wrote the review. Like, it gives me detailed information. Did people find it funny? How many people found this review helpful and stuff like that? It just gives me, a review. Plus, it's
that's fair.
It's just a really honest, truthful way of really gauging what people actually think about the game. Because sometimes, I guess the other criticism with game journalists is, oh, I have a week or two to binge the crap out of this game and then write a review. They don't always necessarily really play the game, have time to really, go in depth as far as some of the mechanics and stuff like that. That's where you get some of the crap where it's like Cuphead too hard. Like, that's not a review. That's just one I know off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel a little bit differently about a lot of the independent guys that I know personally, but I get what you're saying. I get it. Like, if you're talking like an IGN or GameSpot or stuff like that, like that's
what most people consider as a whole.
Yeah, see, I'm not thinking those guys.
Plus
they're almost mainstream news. They don't just cover video games anymore.
Yeah,
so, like,
but that's the bigger issue with those, because sometimes it's like, well, are you gonna be? I've read reviews from like IGN or some of the other sites where it's like, oh, you're writing about stuff that's not relevant to the review, or you're putting your hyper opinion about something that doesn't necessarily relate to what you're writing about, or they complain about some stupid stuff. As well as the time crunch that goes with it. And sometimes it's like, did you even play the game? Or you'll see them talk about it, whether it's on a video or on social media, where sometimes it's like, I don't even think this person even really cares about gaming. They just want to get into, the news cycle, and this was just easy. So I'm reading a review about somebody who's not even really passionate about gaming to begin with, which I feel like is a legit criticism of that whole industry, which is where either you go to the YouTube reviews from YouTubers that you trust and you can actually watch them play the game, or, you've got, the audience reviews from people that actually, spent significant amount of time actually playing the game. Yeah,
I mean, that makes sense. And, like, with some of those review sites, obviously they have like that crunch, so they don't get to spend the time with the game like you actually should. So
you know what I mean? Thing is, is IGN getting paid to give them a decent review, not a terrible review? Is there paid for access? Is it like, we'll let you review this game, but if you give a bad review, we're going to blacklist you from reviewing games in the future? You have to know that happens with some of these within the industry.
100%.
Some stuff, unless it's like egregiously bad and everyone can kind of agree it's a bad game. It's just like, there's enough there where I don't really trust your opinion, so I'm not going to go to you for gaming. Maybe 20 years ago you were trustworthy. Today, not really.
Yeah, I agree with you. And like, IGN is different than now. Some of these places,
IGN's not the worst, but
they're not. No, Kotaku might be the worst.
They are the worst.
Yeah, Kotaku's pretty bad. I was like pulling up Metacritic because I was curious again to double check, and like, for instance, if you're looking at video game news sites, you can look at both user scores and and whatnot. But it's funny to me, IGN, they pull in IGN and IGN Benelux, wherever that one's located, both different scores for the game. So that's kind of cool and interesting that the different divisions and countries that IGN's like worldwide now. They're like a global brand. There's IGNs everywhere. There's an IGN Germany. There's a but just here on the front page, I'm looking like IGN gave Suicide Squad a 50. But IGN, sorry if I butcher it, I don't know. Benelux gave it a 60. But yeah, I mean, like, for sure, GamePro in here, pulling in like the critic reviews too, but I like the comparison of the two, and then I like that they pull in from different sources. But yeah, like you said, I mean, pulling in like IGN stuff like that, I can understand checking Steam sales. You just like you can't check it for a Nintendo Switch game. You know what I mean?
Like,
so
here's a crazy one as far as the Suicide Squad, because overall I think it's got a 61.
yeah, 61.
Not a good review, because you got stuff like whatever VGC, we'll give it an 80, and then IGN will give it like a 60.
This says, okay, so I'm looking at Metacritic. It says
all over the place.
21 critic reviews and 4 user reviews. It only has 4 user reviews, so that's interesting.
Most people go to different platforms. I mean, Metacritic's not bad, but it's just not my preferred site. It just gives me an amalgamation of what the critics think about it. I'm like, well, I don't really like.
Yeah, I mean, it does have critic in the name, so like that makes sense. I get it. Yeah. So another thing we've got. This is depending on if you care. I know I'm excited about it personally. First of all, the Mario vs. Donkey Kong demo, we didn't even know we were getting a demo dropped, so you can play that right now. But that comes out on the 16th, and I think these are really, really fun games and very unique and different. And I think it's cool they're bringing this because it was a GBA game. It's a full remake. You look at just the images, like everything's different. So it also, on top of being just a remake, it also has a co-op player mode, which is interesting. I wonder how that would work, as well as additional content. So, I mean, you're getting a full package here, and if you played it before, it's probably been years since you played it, and it played in a remake form factor on a new platform with additional content and 2 players. Is pretty cool. I think it looks neat. Have you looked at it at all?
Haven't, to be fair.
Okay. Well, the demo is out there if you want to check it out. I got it downloaded. I plan on checking it out. But
Donkey Kong, I'm thinking like the first thing that came to mind was the Mario movie. Funny enough.
What? Yeah, they kind of kind of sort of style it.
It's completely unrelated. It's just my mind went somewhere where it shouldn't have gone.
All right,
like a movie that came out like a year ago. Sorry.
No, you're good, man. Hey, Mario movie is good. I own it twice.
I think it's getting a sequel, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's getting a sequel. Well, I think it's good because there's more to expand. I was shocked at that movie that they dove into Mario Kart in the very first movie, and then dove into
touched on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like it touched on a lot of the universe, so it'd be exciting to see where they go.
That's one of the best scenes of the movie, when essentially you first get into the Donkey Kong Country, and you're essentially on a go-kart. Like, that's one of my favorite scenes of that movie.
Oh yeah, I love it. We got Skull and Bones dropping February 16th, so just around the corner. We're about a little over 2 weeks out on that. That has been a long-awaited game.
It's had a lot of hype. Hopefully it doesn't just crash and burn terribly when it launches.
Well, it makes me concerned because it's been delayed like 3 or 4 times. We've known about Skull and Bones for a very long time. I'm actually might try to look it up while we're talking about it. But what's your thoughts on it? What are you thinking?
Not a whole lot. I just want a good game really out of it. I don't like to get into the hype of games. I want to wait that way because I don't want to overhype a game and kind of be let down. But I'm just concerned because like it's Ubisoft. I'm not the fan of what Ubisoft has kind of said about certain things, so I'm kind of standoffish with supporting that company as a whole. But
Yeah.
I'm at the point like I'll wait and see what the actual game kind of looks like, and then make a decision whether I'm gonna actually get it from there. But
Yeah, I'm with you.
For it, but
The good thing about Ubisoft games is that they always drop in price super quick. Like they're known as the company to have price drops the quickest. Like you can get usually a Ubisoft game drops by $10-15 within a month. Like literally they drop quick. So
I just hope it's as fun as Sea of Thieves is.
That's
like,
why I was going to draw the comparison.
Yeah.
This looks like to be a much more in depth Sea of Thieves because it's a live service game. So
I mean, so is that game. It's an online game.
I know it is. I know, but this seems to be like I don't know what year Sea of Thieves came out, but this was announced E3 2017. So I honestly did not know it was a live service game until just now. So now I'm like my bar just lowered on how excited I am for it.
Sea of Thieves came out in March 2018.
Okay, so this was announced before. That's interesting. Then that's interesting.
But I mean, it makes sense why Sea of Thieves is such a good game because it's a rare game, so they always deliver.
Oh yeah, always deliver. Yeah, I mean, well, that to be fair, that game didn't launch great. It got better over time.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a decent game now, at least for an online multiplayer pirate game.
Yeah, it's fun for sure, and it's gotten way better, and they keep updating it and keep adding content. And
to be fair, I didn't play it until about 2020, 2021, so it had been out for a few years when I started playing it.
Yeah, I played it when it first came out, and then I played it with you a little bit too. Yeah, I mean it's definitely fun, especially if you're playing with actual friends. Like yeah, I mean like you got to be playing with people you can actually talk to.
It's designed to be fun play with friends. Occasionally run across some other people on the map. It's not super populated. Whatever server that it throws you on, it limits how many people can actually be on there.
Which is cool.
It's definitely a game which is you get in, you hop on with friends, you can have as much fun as you can kind of like make yourselves.
Yeah. I mean, it's
what I liked about it.
It makes the discovery of finding other people really fun, and then like exciting and nervous whether they're going to attack you or not, or
it's like a PvE PvP type game.
Exactly. Yeah, I enjoy it. I'll be honest with you, I haven't played it. When I played with you, may have been the last time I played it. To be honest with you,
I haven't played it in over a year.
It's been a long time. I actually just deleted it probably like 2 months ago because I wasn't playing it. It's a big file size.
So many other games to play.
Yeah, that's the problem, man. There's so many. We've got Slave Zero X coming out on February 21st, which is a direct prequel to the Slave Zero. Probably wasn't on your 2024 bingo card, but here we are. While the original Slave Zero was a 3D game, Slave Zero X is primarily a 2D game with the occasional hall dimension adding in when necessary. So this is a Metroidvania game, and if I remember correctly, the Slave Zero game was in line with like Metroid or like Prime. So it was like doing the sort of thing where it's like 2D, if I remember correctly. But anyway, this is a Metroidvania sort of style game. So Metroidvanias are very popular. I'm not shocked with that, getting a prequel on that.
Yeah.
We've got the 21st Terminator Dark Fate Defiance. Looks kind of nifty. I like Terminator. Might check it out. I don't know too much on it.
Dark Fate was such a terrible movie.
Isn't it wild that we're getting a direct game to that?
I don't think it's gonna do well, but that's just because of the Terminator property's kind of been ever since the second movie, it's been drop off. But
yeah, but I will tell you the well, what game came out? Oh, RoboCop. That game did really well, and that's a franchise that is from the same era and has had nothing for it since that remake in like 2014, which was terrible.
That remake wasn't, yeah.
It was horrible.
I mean, I guess there's a chance it could actually be a good game, but
yeah, I hope it is, because the RoboCop game I want to check out. It looks cool.
still as a whole, the movie games don't have the best reputation.
They
They've been
don't.
getting better, but
Yeah, they've been getting better, but yeah, for sure they don't have a good reputation. We talked about Pacific Drive. That drops on the 22nd, which obviously looks really, really cool. Are you planning on checking that one out?
I mean, I might. We'll just see what happens.
It looks like a
It
cool
doesn't
one.
look like it'd be a terrible, game to play. So I might get it. Who knows?
Ooh, here's one I didn't know about. Star Wars Dark Forces Remaster. That's cool. Coming out on the 28th on every platform. PC, PS5, PS4, Series X, Xbox One, and Switch. That's cool. I really like Dark Forces. Did you ever get to play that on PC?
I was thinking about it, but once I realized it wasn't PC. I played different.
I think it was on PS1 too. I'm pretty sure it was on PS1 too.
I only ever played console games growing up, so if it wasn't on like the 64 SNES or the GameCube, I wouldn't have played it.
Yeah,
there was another game that came out on the 64 that wasn't.
Yeah,
I feel like a darker game that I played, but I can't remember what it's called.
I feel like I'm trying to remember which Star Wars besides like the racing game.
Star Wars
came
Dark
out.
Forces is $97.18 on Amazon.
How much?
$97.18.
I'm not surprised at all. Yeah, so PC and I was right. It came out on PS1 as well. Yeah, I played it on PC. Surprisingly, hey, we played some PC games at your house from time to time.
Yeah, it was like Roller Coaster Tycoon,
Civilization and Cartoon Orbit,
Age of Empires, and some of the other cartoon games.
Yeah, I mean, I miss Cartoon Orbit.
Didn't really grow up with a lot of console games or but PC games.
That's a
whole different era though.
I did, but didn't. It was a lot of those type of games, but there was other stuff. Like I played Myst. I played the first time I played Doom was on PC. First time I played Duke Nukem 3D was on PC. There was some stuff, but not a ton. I was always console or handheld. Mostly handheld, to be honest with you, back then.
Yeah.
But console as well. Pretty sure my mouse batteries just died, so trying to move around.
Yeah,
they're like dying.
I don't know what you were reading, but I think it's March 21st that Horizon Forbidden West comes to PC.
Yeah.
I did play it on console, but I also played the original game on. I bought it and played it again on PC, and there was an adjustment because you can definitely tell
you bought it on PC as well. The first one.
The first one. Yeah.
Okay.
It was kind of weird because it's obviously was developed for a controller. It was playable and it wasn't too bad. I might eventually, if it is a good port, I might eventually replay it again on PC.
Right on. Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool that they're releasing the games a year after. Like, of course they want to sell it on their platform, but at least they are bringing them to PC because being PlayStation, they certainly don't have to.
The problem is when they first brought Horizon over, it was a terrible port and it played crap when they first ported it. So hopefully they fix their issues when they port their next game.
Yeah, I hope so too. Cyber Lariat said hopefully the Dark Forces remaster does well, so its sequels get the same treatment. I was actually going to mention Dark Forces 2 is an amazing game. It's way better than the first one. The first one's good, but Dark Forces 2 is like really good, like a top tier Star Wars game that gets overlooked all the time and just like not enough people have played. It's one worth checking out for sure. So if this does well, then we might just get that, and that's
yeah, I'll check it out.
That's one I want to check out. It might be a wait for a price drop, but the fact that it's coming on like Switch, like that's cool. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited. And then of course we got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on the 29th. Everybody's super hyped about that one. It's interesting the way that they've done the 7 remake, and that it's a 2-part, technically 3-part game. If if you count the other game that came out last, which was a PSP remake, and it was, I think, a prequel to the story, if I remember correctly. I have it, and it's still sealed. I haven't even got to play it yet. So, but yeah, part of the remake trilogy is teasing an even bigger deviation from the established canon of the series, the arrival of fan favorite characters, and a potentially devastating climax. So I like, personally, I'm sure some people don't like, but I like that they're giving it a new story, because I can go back and play the original story anytime I want to, but I can't play a new story. So I like that they're doing that. I think that's cool stuff to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna make a remake, at least change a little bit. That way, I don't want to just replay the whole game. Like, I don't want the story to be wholesale different, but make some changes. Make the new game worth replaying. That way, you're not just, I already know what's gonna happen. I'm just playing the same game, but with better graphics.
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, yep, I agree with you. So this just dropped 2 hours ago. We got Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie cast, surprising Marvel star. So looks like somebody from Jessica Jones. Oh, the girl that played Jessica Jones, Christine Ritter, is going to be in Sonic 3, and I can't see who she's playing because it just clicked off the tab, but it looks like Christine Ritter is playing somebody in Sonic 3, and that news just dropped 2 hours ago. So you heard it here first on that one. Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
I don't even know who she is.
You've never watched Jessica Jones?
I haven't, no.
Oh, it's actually really good. It's actually worth the time. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I am curious here. I was going to bring up. Are you a fan at all of Persona?
I played the 4th game. That's really about it. I never beat it. I have Persona 5
on the Vita.
Yeah, for 4, yeah, but I got 5 on the PS5, and I think I played it once, but after like the introductory section, I never picked it back up. But they're not terrible games.
They're good. Are you interested in the 3 remake reload?
Probably not, but if it gets reviewed decently, I might eventually put it on my back burner. But I mean, my list of games to play is already so long. If it gets put on there, it'll just be it's on an ever growing list of games I need to play as I replay the games I have before like 20 times.
Yeah, I get it. I'm the same way. And I did want to bring up one more thing that was pretty big that I saw actually today. So we got more Power World news, and it's kind of crazy. So first of all, this article goes over Pokemon Scarlet and Violet versus Power World sales compared. So this is super interesting. It says Power World's rapid rise in popularity has made it a serious competitor to an established game like Pokemon. Despite the controversy surrounding its similarities to Pokemon, Power World's sales numbers back up its status to a true competitor. So it looks like this is crazy. Absolutely insane numbers for an indie game. It sold 19 million units now in just a few weeks. So that's the updated number from the 7 million we talked about last week. 7 million to 19 million is a massive jump.
It's had a lot of between the news talking about it, people saying, "Hey, this is a really good game." It's had a lot of spread by what's it? Mouth of word or something like that.
Word of mouth.
I may have butchered I think I butchered the actual saying.
Yeah. No. Seriously, because again, I haven't played it since I recorded the footage, unfortunately, but it had me thinking about it, wanting to play it, which is the first game in a little while that has done that. So I plan on playing it some more. I want to dive into it a little bit. Again, the crafting survival thing is not my style of game, but adding that Pokemon element in the way that they do makes it a little interesting. So I
It's a
like the way
unique
they do
game.
it. Yeah, it's very unique, and I think that everybody should try it out, whether you're a Pokemon fan, whatever, Fortnite fan, or Minecraft, whatever you want to compare it to. I mean, it's this weird mix mash of a bunch of style of games. But anyway, the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet only sold 23.23 million units over the course of a year. So we are
Those are
nearing.
bad games. It's a bad game. I'm sorry.
They're-
You made a terrible, broken game.
They're the first Pokemon games to not continually sell more games each generation. Like every generation, Pokemon has sold more and more and more and more. This is the first one
Yeah.
to not, which I don't like because I'm a fan. I'm not happy
Actually,
that they're
To a degree, I am, because I think they need a wake up call to stop making bland games, which I think they have been for a while. Let's put it on autopilot. let's just do
Arceus
the bare minimum.
was a fun game though. Arceus was really good.
Yeah, but
But it's
outside
not
of Arceus,
mainline.
Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Silver, are very bland,
Scarlet and Silver.
technically unimpressive games where they still have issues where frame
Yeah.
rates at times will tank.
Yeah, they do. They do. I mean, I feel like outside of Arceus, there hasn't been a game that has shaken up the Pokemon formula in a long time. I feel like the
Also,
last
Black and
one.
White,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Black
Gen 5,
Black-
it's been forever.
Black 2 and White 2 specifically. I feel like because they were significant enough upgrades, and the first time that we ever had a direct sequel to a game. We've never had it since, and it worked. And the sales numbers and the price and value of the game now reflect that too. Black 2 and White 2 are like $150 games. So, yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. It says Power World has become a breakout hit among players, quickly surpassing titles like Counter-Strike 2, Cyberpunk 2077, and Elden Ring to become the game with the second highest concurrent player count in Steam history. Holy crap.
Crazy.
That is insane. That's shocking to hear over Cyberpunk, because when we got the change, just whatever it's called, Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, that brought back a whole new fan base, and it was popping.
It's a good DLC. I finally played through it and beat it, and I enjoyed the story they told.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. It says, despite the controversy surrounding the similarities between the pals of Power World and the creatures of the Pokemon series, the title continues to increase in sale while still in early access. However, the similarities between Power World and Pokemon don't end with their gameplay and creature design, as comparing the game's sales to those of Scarlet and Violet reveals an interesting trend. And I'm trying to get to the rest. My dang mouse battery is running out of juice there, but we've got...
outside of that, I don't think there really is a comparison.
Well, it says much of the discussion surrounding it is not about the game's sales or player counter, but about how Power World walks the line between drawing inspiration from Pokemon and straight up plagiarizing the franchise. The Pokemon Company recently issued a statement, which we know about, saying that they have not granted permission to use Pokemon assets in the game and are investigating the copyright infringement. Here's a good discussion. This is a really good discussion. What would happen if the Pokemon Company did move forward with something with Power World, since it's still in early access and not a full-fledged game? And
I don't know enough about how Japanese law works, because that's going to be in-house in Japan, and I have no idea. Ultimately, I think it would never go to court. They're going to settle out of court for X amount of money, and if anything, it's like we'll change a few things, but it depends on whether they just made that statement, and it hasn't already been going on behind the scenes, and whether or not there's actually anything they could actually do, if there's enough of a difference to be like, yeah, you get away with it. So I feel like if it was an American company, or at least it was in-house in America with Nintendo and Power World, while a gray area, they probably have a very good way, I'm saying that wrong. Probably would be able to get away with it.
Yeah, I see. I was trying to look up something. Well, one other interesting thing is that Power World sold exactly half of the copies of Scarlet and Violet in the first 3 days. That's even that's a crazy number. Like exactly half.
But there's too many Nintendo and Pokemon fanboys that'll never accept the criticism that Scarlet and Violet were just bad games, like both creatively and technically bad games, and I will never change my opinion on that. And I say it because I want those games to be good. You need to criticize the bad, to hopefully this inspires them to, as a potential, challenger potentially to make sure the next game is good.
Yeah.
But as far as the legal side goes, I'm sure there's grounds to look into it, but I just don't know enough about Japanese copyright laws to say one way or the other how I really feel about it.
That's what I was trying to look up.
Power World has to make a change. They'll make a change. They should have enough money to, here's X amount of money. We'll make these changes. Now kind of go away. That's probably what's going to happen. And they're not going to care because regardless, they made far more money than they ever expected to.
Yeah,
but
they certainly did.
See.
It is. It really is. I mean, Christopher says, "Hi, Game Junction. GameCube coming to Switch Online." Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah. Actually, Mark, what would you like to see if they launch with that? What would you like to see launch with GameCube Online for the Switch?
I want or what should launch with it?
Both. I mean, like, let me just say this. I think it's exciting. I bought all the controllers for the other like Switch Online stuff because I think it's really cool. They're reissuing these controllers. A GameCube one, dude, I would go crazy over that. That would be insane. I think that's just nuts. Like I would have never imagined Nintendo reissuing their controllers for systems ever. So GameCube is. I did not think they were going to go to GameCube. So what would you think would launch with it, or what would you want to launch with it? I'd say Mario Kart and Super Smash Bros. Like two of your top games on that console. Why would you not launch it? Yeah. See, I was going to say Super Mario Sunshine, but that's on the collection already.
But you can't buy that anymore. So that's a limited time thing.
Which is true. So I would say that would probably be one. And then I was going to say Metroid Prime, but we've got the remaster.
They just remastered it, so it might still be on there. I was looking at a list. I was like, maybe Paper Mario.
So
a good choice.
Yeah, I actually don't think they would do Smash Brothers. So
it's gonna compete with what they already have.
Yeah,
it's an old and iconic game. I feel like it should personally.
I mean, Melee is amazing. Like, I love Melee, so I would love to see that. I would love to play that again.
A competitive community, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's still played competitively.
I was looking through a list. I mean, obviously, some of these games can't be on there. Like Resident Evil's not. Not going to be there?
What about Animal Crossing? I mean, I feel
maybe not at launch, but it should be on there. It's a popular game.
Yeah.
Unless they're afraid it's going to compete with their current Animal Crossing, but the game's been out for
yeah. At this point, like, what sales are they competing with?
Wind Waker. Why not release Wind Waker? You haven't.
Yeah.
No way to get it anymore since they released it for the Wii U, and that's a dead console.
And well, the unfortunate part is that they really should have ported that and Twilight Princess over, because those HD remakes. First of all, they make massive improvements, especially to Wind Waker with the sailing.
Yeah.
They like triple time it so you don't have to sail for 45 minutes.
I guess that's the question. If they, let's say it's like you play the GameCube version, but it's also the HD remake version of it. So you get the better version of it. You're just gonna play it like you would on the original GameCube, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Yeah,
the work's already been done, and I assume you can play the HD remake with a GameCube controller, unless I'm wrong.
I don't know. You know what? I actually don't know if those controllers work outside of Switch Online.
It couldn't be that hard. I mean, it was developed. It's just a better looking game, really. That's all it is. They didn't change the core gameplay, I wouldn't assume. I haven't played.
Well,
it
the sailing is a big date. Have you played the original?
I never played it at all.
Okay, the sailing is a massive deal because you literally can spend 45 minutes sailing to your next test. Like I'm not exaggerating.
But
I mean, yeah. I would trying to think what else. I mean, I think Animal Crossing is a pretty good one because of the popularity of that now. But
because I saw Pikmin 2 on here, did both Pikmin 1 and 2 come out on the GameCube?
Yeah. They did.
Unless they're planning to re-release those
but
games.
They already are. Pikmin 1 and 2. I have it.
Yeah.
Pikmin 1 and 2 remastered.
I was going down a risk like the best rated game, so I was just trying to.
It's like, what do we not have from GameCube? So,
Yeah.
I mean, how about some Bomberman Jetters? That's not happening.
But that's never good. It's you're dealing with two different companies.
Sega Genesis is on Switch Online with a controller, so I don't know.
Maybe one of their Fire Emblem games.
Yeah, that would actually be good to launch with.
The one that I'm seeing is Path of Radiance. That came out in 2005.
That makes sense.
I never played the game, so I've got no idea.
Well, it's like a $300 game, so that would be great for people to be able to play.
Oh, you know what? And I know it's not going to happen, but Lost Kingdoms.
Oh God, yes, 1 and 2. Please, I love those games. That would be awesome, but
who made those games again?
I don't. It was the people that did
Dark Souls.
Yeah, Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it has that atmosphere. It's a unique type of.
It has an atmosphere. Obviously, not the gameplay, but
soundtrack.
Oh, dude, these games are so good. Oh my gosh.
It's not gonna happen, but I was like, because
I mean,
games on GameCube I grew up playing.
There's been some that like people thought wouldn't launch on there. I'm trying to think of which ones. There's been some ones that people have not thought about. So I wouldn't be surprised. They're bringing weird, like I like this because people don't have access to them, but they brought like Famicom games over translated that like people have never been able to play, and Super Famicom games, same thing. Which I like. Like, hey, give people access to a translated game that we've never got to play before. I would like.
Here's another game I didn't realize was on GameCube. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance.
Absolute. That's how I played it. That's the first time I played it, and it is a phenomenal game. 2 is on there as well. 2 is on there as well. Yeah, played both. Played both of them with my dad. Surprisingly.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I never played one. Maybe we can actually get an F. Since we can't get a new F-Zero game, maybe
F-Zero GX. Maybe that. I mean, we got 99, which seems to be pretty successful. They just
new F-Zero game that ever came out.
99, yeah.
Well, no, GX.
Oh, GX, yeah. Well, unless the GBA one came out after, I can't remember if it. I feel like GX is the last one. I think GX is the last one.
I'm gonna Google it.
Yeah, because that GBA game's really, really good too.
I just need to know.
People overlook that one all the time.
The promise says F099 in 2023, but that's not an actual.
Well, technically, it's canon.
F-Zero Climax was the last one in 04.
So that was GBA then.
GBA,
yeah. Okay,
and then
so
it was GP Legend, AX, and GX all came out in 03.
Yeah.
There's actually not that many games. It's like what 1, 2, 3.
I think it was like 6 games.
7, 8, 9, 10. There's 11 if you count 99.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know there was that many. I played both of the ones on the GBA. What is? Yeah, I played both the ones on GBA, and I loved them. I think they were great. Nobody talks about the one is at GP. I think it's GP Legends is actually based on the F-Zero anime. Believe it or not, yeah.
You know what's crazy? I didn't realize 2 of these games, both Grand Prix and Grand Prix 2, were both BS games.
What is it?
Grand Prix and Grand Prix 2 were both BS games.
They're arcade games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, same thing with Mario Kart. There's Mario Kart DX and
I don't even know if I really even want to
Mario Kart GP, Mario Kart GP2, and Mario Kart GP DX. There's 3 of them.
So from what this is telling me, there's only 6 mainline F-Zero games. There's a bunch of half of these are technically spin-off games from what this is looking like. Both the Grand Prix, X expansion kit, AX, and 99 are saying they're spin-off games from what this is saying.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I didn't.
I mean, it's Wikipedia, so you take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I thought that there was 6 or 7. So I mean, that lines up with mainline games. I knew about the arcade games, but I forgot about them. Which I mean, they are like full-fledged their own games. So like, but obviously,
that F-Zero expansion kit. I don't know if it actually came out. It was supposed to be with the 64DD.
Yeah. Yep. And you can play it on the EverDrive. I've got it on mine. It's pretty rad.
AX is another arcade game.
Interesting. AX.
It came out the same year as GX for the GameCube in 03 and the GP Legends did.
So it must use the same sort of structure or something.
So there's like 6 mainline games. Everything else is like a arcade or some weird expansion that kind of failed on a failed expansion.
Jeez, that's crazy. Very interesting.
Oh, we spent way longer on F-Zero than I thought we would.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, it'd be cool to have GX come to GameCube because.
Well, no, we already got Luigi's Mansion. Is the original playable already? I know we've had other games.
Wait, the original Luigi's Mansion? We've got. Well, I mean, there's a remake on 3DS of Luigi's Mansion. There's a remake on 3DS. We're getting the remake of 2 on Switch this year. So it would make sense to bring 1 over, but like because we did get a remake last generation, I don't know. I mean,
oh, you know what? And I just was going through the list. Mario Strikers, the original.
Yes, yeah,
we got a newer one.
That's not nearly as good. Yeah, it's that GameCube game is just way better. And that game, that Mario Strikers launched with like no content, man. It was like dead. Yeah, it was like dead in the water, and nobody talks about it now either, which is unfortunate because it's like that was kind of a big deal. We hadn't gotten one in a while. It sucks.
Oh, you got Kirby Air Riders came out in 03.
Ooh, yeah, it could be a good one. That's fun. That's a fun racing. Yeah, it's a fun racing game. It's unique too. That could be cool. I mean, like realistically, they would probably drop 3? Start with 3 or 5, right? Like,
I can't believe I didn't think about. Sorry, keep saying what you're saying.
No, I was just saying they would realistically probably drop with 3 or 5, right? Like one or the other. I feel like they would drop with 3 GameCube games.
Yeah,
because I feel like they dropped with 3 64 games. If 3 or 5, I can't remember.
But I'm finding some core games. I'm like, I don't know why I didn't think about this. Obviously, probably not going to get it, but the Budokai games would be nice. Not going to get those.
Yeah, I mean, and we're getting Tenkaichi 4 this year as well, so that would be kind of cool.
But it was, I liked Star Fox Adventures, and then
I did too.
Coliseum games.
Yep, and GX, Coliseum and Gale of Darkness. Yeah,
there was another one.
Pokemon Box, Gale of Darkness, and Coliseum.
This doesn't give me everything, but I think I guess maybe we get 4 Swords Adventures. That'd be nice.
That'd be cool. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's like pretty overlooked, and I get that people haven't really played. Like that's
decent games. Games I forgot about.
Dude, the GameCube is just so good. It's to me.
It had a small library.
It had a small library, but a good library. Good. It did not have nearly as much filler as a lot of like the PS2, which has the biggest library still to date. It was obviously like at least 50% filler, if not more. So I would say, yeah, GameCube had a small library, but it had really good games and just a lot to offer, personally.
And
and
game on here that I saw that is probably not going to be on there that I never played, but was the Time Splitters games.
That'd be good. Yeah, I've got 2 for the Xbox, I think.
Oh my god, the original Beyond Good and Evil. Oh, I
Oh,
completely forgot about that
dude,
game.
yeah, that would be.
Obviously, that wasn't a GameCube exclusive, but didn't we just get an announcement for a new Beyond Good and Evil recently?
We have had. There's been one in the works for years. It's not been recent. Like you might be able to look it up, but as far as I'm aware, it's been in the works for a
The
while.
second game came out on PS4 and Xbox One.
Okay. I didn't even know that.
And I was like, I remember hearing something about a new one, but I never followed
Jeez.
up with it.
Oh wow, we might have to check that out. That might make for
Maybe it just didn't perform that well. Who knows?
Yeah, I wonder how that was rated. I haven't heard anything about that. That's interesting.
Going through lists, I'm like, oh my god, there's a bunch of old games that I completely forgot about.
Nostalgia, man, I'm telling you. There's a lot to offer. So like I think that's a big deal. Like that would be, for one, I think that would make a lot of people subscribe to the expansion pass. A lot of people would be super stoked on GameCube. And if they legitimately do offer the GameCube controller, that will be, you know how the 64 controller, right, doesn't stay in stock. Like every time it goes in stock, it sells out. The GameCube controller is going to be even worse. It's going to be worse than the 64 controller. People are going to be clamoring for that.
Get that way better, like pre-order it or something.
Dude, yeah, I know, absolutely. I mean, people love the GameCube controller, man. It's a good controller. I really enjoy it. Yeah, I guess that AMD Ryzen 7, that 8000G GP or CPUs, or AMD released the Ryzen 7 for AM4 motherboard users looking to get an affordable upgrade. I guess that's already out, by the way. I didn't know that. So that,
I mean, technically all CPUs have some form of integrated graphics, but it's usually good enough for basic computer operations. You're not gonna be able to play a game on them.
I didn't know that. Interesting. Okay. Well, there's
The
not.
problem is with these newer CPUs is because they tend to get really hot, so you need to make sure you're like cooling them right, because they can do so much more. But that's like the only counter is making sure you don't let your CPU like overheat.
Do you have yours like water cooled or just fans?
No, I went back to fan cooled. I used to have it, but as it stands right now, unless you're like overclocking or you're trying for that top tier performance, air cooled has caught back up to where water cooled was for your average PC gaming. So it's really.
Do they make Noctua fans for PC too? Because I have one at Noctua. Because I have one for my GameCube. I have a modded GameCube and got a Noctua fan in it to it's just a better fan because the GameCube could overheat, especially when you have a modded GameCube.
Yeah, it looks like they do air cooled fans.
Huh. Yeah, interesting.
That one kind of looks similar because my fan cooler is it's a Be Quiet CPU where it's got a really big heatsink and it's got 2 fans on it. Yeah.
This one's you can't even hear it. It's like a good fan, but you can't hear it at all. Yeah. Well, I did want to mention, because this one is one that popped up about 6 hours ago. Naughty Dog teases exciting update for The Last of Us 3. The Last of Us creator Neil Druckmann shares new details on his progress in creating a worthy story for The Last of Us 3. It may feature new characters and a potential time jump, but specific details about the story have not yet been confirmed. Neil Druckmann struggled to come up with a concept for the third game, but now has an idea that he believes is a worthy follow-up. While not explicitly confirming The Last of Us Part 3, Druckmann hinted that there may be one more chapter to this story. The Last of Us
was coming.
Yeah, The Last of Us Part 2's making of documentary Grounded 2 premiered today on February 2nd. So today, if you're listening to audio, it's out now. and revealed some interesting details about a potential follow-up. During the documentary, The Last of Us Part 2's Neil Druckmann shared his progress in developing a story for the series' third entry. Hey, we might have to check that out. Premiered.
I didn't like the second game story, so I'm super skeptical. I'm not gonna like the third game story. Like,
Well,
I didn't like the direction with.
I mean, I didn't like the story either, but the gameplay was really good. The gameplay is good. The story sucked.
Story there. I thought they just fumbled the bag on how they told
Yeah.
the story. I didn't like it.
Yeah, well, I mean that would give more reason to check out this making of documentary. Apparently, it came out today, so if you guys are
It's not gonna
interested,
change my opinion on anything, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Like, I wouldn't mind listening to it in the car, or, I'm at work or something. So, that is out today.
Yeah.
And so he's got apparently an idea for a worthy follow-up. See, I don't know that it was apparent that we were getting another game. Now, Factions obviously was supposed to happen or was it Factions is the multiplayer, right? That got canceled. Am I right?
So
Yeah. So I knew about that,
close.
but yeah, I don't know. And then looks like interesting. A Star Wars Outlaws is targeting a spring release date. So have you seen about that game, by the way?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it looks like an interesting game. Here's the problem though for you. It's a Ubisoft game.
Is it always online?
I don't know. I'm going to see if I can find out because I bet it is. Star Wars Outlaws is reportedly aiming for a spring release date, specifically targeting May, but fans should anticipate possible delays given Ubisoft's history. The game will feature the three types of environments: cities, large open world areas, and space, allowing for diverse activities and quests. Speculation suggests that cities will serve as hubs, open areas as quest areas, and space as a place for unique combat, exploration, experience, but more details yet to be revealed. So yeah, they announced this during, I want to say, a State of Play last year or an Xbox, one of them.
I think it's got potential. I mean, I'm glad EA no longer has the monopoly on it, because EA did nothing and made poor decisions with it. But
yeah, I agree. I agree.
It'll probably be a game. It's like, I'll let it review and kind of make a decision from there.
If it's a Ubisoft game, 9 times out of 10, I'm waiting until it drops in price and grabbing it at the 15, $20 for me. I mean, like, the only Ubisoft game in recent time is that Prince of Persia game that I've wanted to grab, but I made the decision to hold off and grab it when it drops down. It's already lowering in price, but it's yeah. So
if it comes to Steam, I'll just wait till Steam's selling and probably buy it then if it gets decent reviews.
Wait, Prince of Persia or
no, the Outlaws.
Sorry. Oh yeah. I'm interested in it, but it is Ubisoft. So it looks like that is what we got on news. We did have 2 viewer questions, I believe. Let me pull those up again. I did not add to notes. And we got... Oh, I'm going to hit the comments real quick. Give us a new Jack, you cowards. We're still getting great Ratchet and Clank games, but Jack has been dead since Daxter on PSP. That is true. That is true. And the last Ratchet and Clank was a phenomenal game. Amazing. He said, man, I'm excited for Star Wars Eclipse more than Outlaws. And Eclipse and the upcoming Acolyte show on Disney Plus. I don't know. Do you know how to pronounce that? On Disney Plus. Acolyte? I think it's a Star Wars thing.
I thought it was like Acolyte.
Acolyte. My glasses are over here, guys, because the reflection.
I thought you were terrible at English or something.
No. It's I'm saying that
wrong. I'm pretty sure it's Acolyte.
Okay, Acolyte. All right, so yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what happens with Outlaws. That Star Wars Eclipse does seem pretty cool, so might be worth checking out. Star Wars has burned me out though. I'll tell you, I'm I've been on Star Wars burnout mode since the start of the trilogy. I just
I think to me Disney's just ran Star Wars into the ground since
they have
the property. They've done nothing good with it.
it's
They might have accidentally done something good here or there, but as a whole, I've hated what Disney's done to Star Wars.
so much
That's my personal
so
opinion.
that I don't even like to wear my Star Wars shirts sometimes. Because I'm like, I just like this franchise. What it represents now is not like what it represented as I grew up.
It's
But
like probably because Acolyte's a show on Disney Plus. If I do end up watching it, it's not going to be on Disney Plus. That's as far as I'll say about that. But more than likely, I'm not gonna. I don't pay for Disney Plus, and I don't plan on getting it. That's how I feel about Disney as a whole. But
I have it because it comes with my Amazon. My whole deal with Amazon
Like,
just
technic-
comes with it.
when I
So
was paying for Hulu TV during the football season, I technically had access to it. I never activated it. And then
maybe it's
honestly,
Hulu. I get it with maybe it's
I
Hulu,
never
not
did.
Amazon.
Because I never use Netflix and Hulu, like I just straight canceled them because I never use the services, so it's just a money that's just being pumped down the drain. The only streaming service I'll still pay for at this point is Amazon. That's because I pay for Amazon Prime not for the streaming service, but I actually shop on Amazon.
Yeah, for sure.
But I've got to a point. It's like either I'm gonna buy it physical or I'm gonna hit the high seas at this point. Like
I'm with you, man. I get it.
Hollywood has made crap the last decade. That's why I prefer watching, foreign shows, foreign films. They're just better,
It's fair.
more
That's fair.
creative.
That's fair. I agree.
mean, the best movie of 2023 to me by a landslide was Godzilla -1.
Dude, it's so
Such
good.
a good.
So
watch
good.
it in my I think the minus color is the better version to watch it in. If they release it on Blu-ray, watch the minus color version because I think it's just superior.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. I saw it in the theater.
Well, the minus color was in theater for like a week and a half. It just left yesterday, so
Oh, did it really?
hopefully they release it. That's the
Is there any like legitimate differences? Is there anything?
it's just black and white.
Well, yeah, so that's the only difference.
That's the only difference.
Okay.
There's no color. But with the time period, like when I first watched black and white, the first thing I thought of, like, this reminds me of the original Godzilla.
Dude, yeah.
before.
I love
it was
I love that
such-
movie.
If you watch reviews, some people say, I mean, it's good either way, but a lot of people said if you're really into it, the black and white really has a nostalgia, really adds to that. I don't want to say horror feel because I don't really get that horror feel, but it just adds to that.
Well, for then it
Wish-
was.
yeah.
And also I will recommend, because I could talk Godzilla all day. If you like the original Godzilla, watch Gojira, as it's a much better film and version of it versus ours, who had the TV announcer talking throughout the entire movie.
Oh.
He's not there, and you get more Godzilla action. Like there was a bunch of deleted scenes that they removed from the version that we got, and like Gojira, just look up Gojira. It's so much better.
You don't even get that much Godzilla in -1, but when he's there, he definitely makes a memorable impact.
Yeah.
How long has it been since you got a Godzilla movie where you're like, oh my god, I actually care? There's good written characters. It's like the one thing everyone talks about is like,
Yeah.
it's not just Godzilla, it's the characters are actually well written and you actually care about them.
Yeah.
And then, oh yeah, Godzilla's in this movie as well.
It always used to be. I mean, it used to be the fact that like typically Godzilla wasn't like in the movie for a super long time. Like it wouldn't be unheard of for like I think
What?
Godzilla Mothra, that he was in it for like 15 minutes of the movie.
Godzilla kind of got goofy. I don't know if it. I think.
Yeah, there's three eras of Godzilla.
In the Reiwa era or something like that.
I think the Shoujo era
It's
is
just Shin and minus 0 are this era that we're in.
yeah.
It was the middle one. where Godzilla got
I think it's a
goofy. It's like-
Shoujo era or something. That is a goofy era where he's like jumping up and down and
He's like,
has
"Oh,
a-
my tail kicked."
has
Like,
a
that's dope,
God-
but
Godzilla Junior, or Baby Godzilla is the name for him, I think. Godzilla
it
Junior is a
got kinda
separate.
Goofy.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it, but it didn't have that dread.
Minya.
Watch to Godzilla.
Minya is his name. That was the little Godzilla, the
I
annoying.
like the Mothra, the Godzilla, Mechagodzilla, the old.
I
don't
love
really
all
care
those.
for the new universe.
The
with Hollywood.
legendary
I like the
stuff,
old-
yeah.
I prefer the old Toho stuff.
I
even
did-
as cheesy as it can be.
Well, I agree because I mean I like practical effects, so I like the costumes and I dug all that and I dug just the way those movies are filmed. But I will say I liked Skull Island a lot. I think out of all even, well, I think that's the best one. That just King Kong, like just King.
Yeah, but those are aren't those still legendary technically?
Yeah,
Or
the whole universe. No, yeah, they're the whole universe. But I'm saying of all those, I feel like that was the best one.
Yeah, but I don't like the Hollywood Godzilla as a whole. But
that's
just personal.
You don't like 98 Godzilla?
I like the dark, gritty Godzilla. I didn't care that much for Shin, but I like the tone.
I feel the same way.
To be.
I didn't like the transformation of Zen. I didn't like the Godzilla transfer. I thought it was silly, but
he's supposed to be the embodiment of nuclear destruction. That's the Godzilla that I like.
Yeah. I didn't like the transformation. It's funny because I'm in a bunch of the Godzilla groups and stuff, and you can actually buy legitimate they're called SH Monster Arts that releases these premium Godzilla figures for adult collectors, and you can get each stage of Shin Godzilla's transformation. It's I would never want that.
I saw a picture. He's supposed to have 8 transformations. One looks really human-like, and I'm like, this is weird.
Yeah, it's strange.
They were going with the story. I just thought it was kind of weird, and I watched some YouTuber made a joke on. He's like, it's just too many meetings about Godzilla. And I was like, I can kind of see that it got a little heavy at times.
Yeah, it was too much for me. It's just
the tone that they were kind of going for. It's just -0. Did it right.
Cyber says that you're ignoring him in the chat. We got two community questions. Just joking.
We talking.
Yeah, no, that's what we're supposed to do. We got 2 viewer questions. So we've got first one is, what is the last 3 video games that you played that you thoroughly enjoyed and something that you might go back to?
Last 3?
The last 3 that we've enjoyed and could go back to.
It's kind of hard because I play Borderlands all the time. I play Mass Effect all the time. Those are the big ones that I keep going back and playing rather than playing new games. Probably one would be the Metroid Prime series because I don't play those that often.
Well, it has to be the last 3 that you've enjoyed that you played. So recent stuff.
I mean, Prime isn't
remastered. Yeah, that's a good. That was one of mine. So
I was trying to think.
That's one I could easily go back to.
I mean, there's a game I could say, but I'm not going to say.
Go for it.
No, it's
okay.
I'll explain why I'm not going to say it later.
Okay, all right. Some wifey simulator. He's kinda.
It tiptoes a weird line. I don't want to get.
Okay.
I was trying to think. I mean, I recently played Skyrim. I go back and play that periodically every other year or something like that.
So you play that that new version of it, the Legendary Edition or whatever, where it's got all the upgrades.
I've gotten all of them for free on Steam because I've owned the original version of it. So every time they re-release it, I just get the new version on Steam for free. So I haven't paid for any upgrades. When I play it on PlayStation 5, I have to pay for the upgrade. But on Steam, I got them for free, which don't know why they did it, but I was like, dope. But I can download mods to my heart content, so it's kind of irrelevant.
Gotcha. Yeah, I still haven't played the newer. I'm not in a hurry to check it out or anything.
Too, just because I'm trying to find games that I've actually played recently would be Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. And then the Metro games. There's not a whole lot that I played recently that I replayed recently.
You've been playing the Metro games?
I replayed them recently for like the second time.
Nice.
To try to get the bad ending in all 3 games for the time.
So you're legitimately excited for Metro VR then?
If I had VR, I'm excited for it, but I don't have the VR 2, so I don't have a way to play it. I'm glad it's getting VR and hoping they eventually get another Metro game down the road. Because they're really good games.
Yeah, and I feel like it could fit very well in VR too. Like the atmosphere of the games.
The atmosphere, the horror element.
Yeah.
Would be great with VR. Because it's definitely, while 3 not to the same degree as the first 2, especially the first one, it had that horror element was paramount all the way through, and even the second one to the same degree.
Yeah.
And the bad part is the game also is really stingy with ammo, so you have to get somewhat creative, especially on harder difficulties. And it's a game where if you kill other people, you are penalized. Like you have to minimize how much you kill other people, you're going to get the bad ending.
Yeah, no doubt.
Unique penalty system, because the game doesn't tell you that.
Yeah.
It's just a consequence of playing through the game, or maybe it does. It's been a hot second, but
right.
I always thought it was a neat mechanic.
Yeah, you know,
it really
definitely is.
Think about like the choice. You can't just go down and just gun hundreds of people and there be no negative consequences. Is kind of what it's kind of getting at in this limited amount of people post-apocalyptic. You know.
Yeah, I dig it. I dig it. Yeah. I think for me, I mean, mine are going to be like super generic. I mean, I don't know if there's really a generic answer, but for me, Tears of the Kingdom. A, I'm still playing it. B, if I had beat the story, I would go back to it and work on other stuff in it that I haven't done. Probably, I know Metroid Prime Remastered for sure, because I just love that game and I can play it anytime, and it's obviously the definitive way to play now. And what else?
I definitely had to think about it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what recently. I mean, here's maybe a silly one, but my daughter likes it, and it's like it's easy to get in and out of. But probably Pikmin 1 and 2 remaster, they're like fun games that you can like sort of jump in and out of, and they've got really fun multiplayer too. So like it's one that like you could go back to anytime, and it's a recent game. I mean, I got it, I don't know, 5 months ago it came out or something. I still haven't played Pikmin 4 yet, but yeah, those are cool. So that's probably my choice there. And then we got one more viewer question. What are the 2 games that you're looking forward to the most on Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 5?
Ooh, that's tough. I mean, I know what I'm looking for most on Switch is Prime 4. Been waiting for that for forever at this point.
Yeah,
but the PS5 is a bit more difficult. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we just talked about it, but for me,
I gotta. I don't know if there's one that I'm excited to play though. I gotta.
For me, let me think here.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't know. Does it have to be exclusive?
They didn't say, but I mean, it sounds like it. Yeah, like PS5.
I don't know if it's exclusive, but the Stellar Blade is going to be one of them.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything else though that I really am care. Like
Rise of the Ronin for me on PS5 for sure, and then
I don't care about the Final Fantasy VII remakes, so it's just as much as it probably should be. It's just not on my radar of games to play.
I gotta say, man, I don't know. There's a few, because I wanted to say like maybe Metro VR, but like I think there's another game that I think I'm probably looking forward to more than that.
Is Pacifica Drive an exclusive for PlayStation?
I don't know. That's a good question. That's one I'm really looking forward to for sure.
That might be one that I know of.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
I'll keep an eye out for the Rise of Ronin. It looks good, but I want to wait and see. how it actually plays when it comes out.
I'm pumped for that. I think it looks really cool. Yeah, that one, and then goodness gracious,
Okay,
I don't know. I
so-
guess Silent Hill. I mean, even though I've got the backlash on it, I'm looking forward to at least checking it out and seeing if it's good. But that I guess that would bring my other.
Apparently, that Pacific Drive, it'll be on PS5 and PC. From what's Tech
That's a
Radar
weird
saying.
combo. No Xbox. Interesting. Okay. I would have rather, or I would have liked it to have been on Xbox. It's a little
Okay.
more powerful.
So Stellar Blade's published by Sony, so that's going to be an exclusive.
Yes, that's one of their big exclusives. I think Rise of Ronin and Stellar Blade are their two next big ones right now that we know of.
Rise of Ronin, it's currently according to Tech Radar, it's only planned for PS5.
Yeah, I mean it's a Sony game, right? Pretty sure it's just.
It didn't say. It just says it's currently only planned for PS5. So
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's probably an exclusive, but I don't know if it's a Sony-owned studio or not.
Right.
Just based off how they worded that.
Switch, I gotta say, I'm looking forward to the Luigi's Mansion 2 remake. There's actually a lot. So the Peach game, I'm really looking forward to the Peach game because it is a 2D. It's a unique 2.5D platformer. That's not just a 2D platformer. It's got really unique elements. It reminds me of Kirby in that you get all these different power-ups that you can use and do crazy things like draw across the screen to move to an area. And it's different. We haven't gotten a Peach game since the DS. And that Peach game for the DS is in my top 3 DS games of all time. Super Princess Peach.
Princess Peach Showtime?
Yeah, dude. I think it looks really good. So probably those two. But I'm also looking forward to Mario vs. Donkey Kong and Paper Mario 1,000 Year Door remasters. So there's a lot on Switch I'm looking forward to this year. It's going to be a busy year because we're getting Switch 2. So that's once that comes out, everything else is shut down for a minute. So hopefully
it's gonna be. Do we have any news on the? I guess you're calling it Switch 2.
I'll check real quick if there's been any update. There was definitely, I saw Nintendo Prime. Shout out to him on YouTube. He has done. It seems like a video every single day on Switch 2 updates. Let me see real quick. It's kind of funny we didn't talk about anything Switch 2 this
I guess
week.
the question is it going to be backwards compatible? Like use the same cartridge?
It's gotta be. So here's something we got. EA boss on Switch 2 rumors. He says, this is just kind of with them. New platforms are good for us. So essentially, they're just trying to say, hey, we're going to put our games on the system this generation. Because I don't know if you remember, but at the start of the Switch, EA refused to release anything for the Switch. And we never got any of the sports games and
EA being EA.
EA being EA. Switch 2 specifically, we got well, it looks like all the ones I'm pulling up seem to be about that. Yeah, I don't see anything specifically new that we haven't covered. So yeah, but those are our community questions for the week. So I think we'll go ahead and wrap up. But hey, man, it's been a good show. Good show this week.
Been a long one.
Been a long one. It's been a while since we had a long podcast like this. So yeah, we haven't done that in a long time. But hey, it's good every now and then. And it was fun. So we appreciate everybody watching and listening. And of course, we will be back again next week. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube and please give us a rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It helps us out a lot and it gets us pushed out. And we really need to get those built up so we can push the podcast out more. Thanks again, everyone. And we will see you again next week.